Happy Halloween. This is Nerdy Talk Happy Hour. Ghostly special. So sit back, relax, and maybe drink some blood.
Yeah, entertainment nerd, come and let me show you. This is everything you wanna know about nerd culture. Hey, entertainment nerd, ain't none fresher. You can nerd out, don't even need your pocket protector. Where my nerds at? Grab a drink, come through, keep it entertaining. Comic books to movie news, this is what you need. All my nerds, come get with me if you really live your life like you on the Big Bang Theory. Marvel to DC, we really got a passion. Justice League, yes indeed. Hold up, let me fix my glasses. Uncle Black, Dynamite Calla, when the story accrue. Lady Mocha, shout out Adrian, you know how we do. Hey, entertainment nerd, come and let me show ya. This is everything you wanna know about nerd culture. Entertainment nerd, ain't none fresher. You can nerd out, don't even need your pocket protector. Nerd news, nerd culture, nerd happy hour. Entertainment nerd, let's go.
Hey, what's up, you beautiful nerds? This is Uncle Black of Entertainment Nerd News, the Saturday show, Nerdy Talk Happy Hour. And we have a very special guest today. We have Shanna Stoker of the Ghoulish Garb. Awesome. I saw her on TikTok one day, and a couple of times, and she said, "Oh, if you want an interview, reach out." And so we did, and now we have her. And with this time of year, it being October, it's perfectly great time to introduce her. I mean, the Ghoulish Gal, it says it all. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, thank you so much for having me on your show, Uncle Black. I'm really happy to be here. As you said, my name is Shanna Stoker, and I am actually the co-owner and co-operator of the Ghoulish Garb. And my persona on TikTok is the Ghoulish Gal. But the Ghoulish Garb is a small business, just two of us and a third-party partner. And we are dedicated to creating unique designs that focus on celebrating the macabre and witchcraft and Halloween and goth culture. So yeah, it's basically my personality wrapped up into a clothing store. Uh, but we also have recently gotten, well, I say recently, in the past 2 years, we're 3 years old now. But in the past 2 years, we've gotten into creating our own unique tarot designs. We are known for the Terror Tarot Major Arcana deck, which is a Halloween themed tarot deck featuring Dracula, the Headless Horseman, the Wolfman, Dr. Frankenstein, lots of really fun characters. And we also just recently released that very beautiful, colorful deck in the Shadow Edition, which is black and white and more kind of a minimalistic goth aesthetic. And it has a bonus card, and it's on sale on Amazon. So go check it out.
Nice. So where can now my wife is into tarot cards, so where
Yeah.
can we get them from your website?
Well, so we sell on Etsy, Amazon, and on eBay. I would recommend if you're trying to browse, go to Etsy, etsy.com/shop/the Ghoulish Garb, all one word. And it's a little easier to browse our shop on Etsy, just the platform from my experience. But you can get all of that stuff on Amazon and eBay as well. Amazon right now has the Shadow deck $10 off until the end of October. So it's going to be about $24.95 for that full deck with a bonus card, full guidebook, absolutely stunning matte cards with a shiny matte silver finish on the sides. They're gorgeous. And you can also get the bundle if you want maybe both the Major Arcana decks, one in color, one in black and white with the bonus card and the stickers. You can get a bundle of that on Etsy. So, but yeah, I'd recommend if you're ready to browse, go to Etsy. And if you're looking for the Shadow deck on sale, go to Amazon. Just type in the Ghoulish Garb Shadow Edition Terror Tarot.
Ooh, I'm looking at some of them on Amazon, and perfect gift since my wife is getting into this.
And it's
Is
great for the holiday season, right?
yes. So we normally have a few questions for our guests. First one that we have for you is, what is your favorite hobby?
I love to read and I love to watch television and movies.
Okay.
I love that. Yeah. I'm a homebody. I like to
Okay.
be at home with my cats in
Nice.
my cozy home.
You're cozy. Yes. Yeah. So what type of movies?
Oh, everything. So of course this time of year I'm watching all my favorites, which includes everything from like the kind of campy family stuff like Beetlejuice, Nightmare Before Christmas, Adam's Family are some of my absolute favorites. Adam's Family. Oh,
Oh
my
my
heart.
God. Yes.
Oh, I love them. Gomez and Morticia are absolute gold.
Yes.
But yeah, so I mean I love all of those very family friendly that I've been watching my entire life. Practical Magic is one of my favorite witchcraft movies because they actually did their research. Um but yeah, I love those, and then I'm really getting back into horror again, which I say back into. I really started getting into it about 3 or 4 years ago. Um, but yeah, so I just watched The Conjuring the other night, and I just watched, I mean, I've seen that. I love the Conjuring series. Um,
Yes.
I actually recently watched Halloween for the first time because again, I didn't get into horror until a few years ago. I've always liked spooky, creepy, macabre stuff, but
Yeah.
I wasn't gonna go sit down and watch a slasher film. And so I watched Halloween recently. Last year was the first time I watched any of the uh Camp Crystal Lake.
Oh, Friday the 13th.
What is it called? Friday the 13th. Yeah, my one of my best friends is a Jason cosplayer, an incredible Jason cosplayer. And so he was finally like, we have to watch these. So I love those.
Nice.
And my favorite though so far has been the Evil Dead 2 going into Army of Darkness, going into the television Ash versus the Evil Dead.
Yes.
I love that
Yes.
campy horror. It's great. Oh, and
Doesn't
of
get
course,
any
one of
better.
my favorites ended up being what was it we watched last year? It was Killer Clowns from Outer Space. Absolute bonkers, and I love it.
No, no, I hate clowns.
It's
I
so bad though. It's like so bad. It's yeah, I feel you.
no. Major anxiety. Major anxiety with
Okay,
that.
maybe skip that one. Yeah.
You can't even really get me to a circus. It takes a lot.
But you
You know,
could probably sit down and watch Saw just fine, right?
yes, yes. Like
See, no.
one of the biggest questions I get asked is, well, the Joker, he's a clown. Oh no, he's different.
He's like
Even
loosely based off of a clown.
yes,
He's not like in your face laughing like, here's a balloon. Like, yeah, you're welcome.
yeah.
That will haunt your nightmares tonight.
Yeah, we have Six Flags up here, and last year we went to Fright Fest, and my daughters
Hmm.
decided to tell the evil clown my name and that I'm scared of clowns. So here I am walking, and he's calling my name, and and he gets in my face. Of course, they have their boundaries, but and I'm just like, really, really. But my kids are funny, and so we like to prank each other a lot. Like the year I
That's
got
good.
them plungers for Christmas, dollar
Do the
store. So we clown on each other, and look at that, we clown on each other. No pun intended. Um,
I think it was. I think it was.
but
I'm actually planning hopefully to do I would love to do it next year, but of course it depends on my schedule because it's always changing. But I really want to do like a spooky um paranormal kind of road trip up to the East Coast because I'm in Orlando and I
yeah,
want to go up the East Coast and there's so many. I mean, like Savannah is so haunted and there's so
yes.
much stuff. And I want to end it in like Sleepy Hollow, New York, but not before going to Salem and going to see, of course, all the spooky stuff in Connecticut. And just I want to take a whole tour up the East
Oh
Coast.
man, you would think that that's probably what Connecticut has. I normally joke about. I'm not a native to Connecticut, so I'm always joking about Connecticut. But when it comes to the spooky stuff, you have the Warrens. There's a bank over in, I want to say, Derby, that was haunted. It was actually appeared
Mm-hmm.
on a show. There's this weird town that disappeared. Everybody was poisoned and died, and I can't remember. That's up in Litchfield County, and it's spooky driving through there. You just want to jet through there. But yeah,
Yeah.
this northeast in Connecticut and Massachusetts and Rhode Island, there's a lot of spooky stuff that happens up here.
I mean, think of all the history that's up there. Like, think of that. That was the first colonies that were up there, and it's just there's just hundreds of years of colonial history, and then think about all the history of the indigenous people before that. Like,
Yes.
there is so much history in those buildings and on that land, and I'm very I have a history degree, so I love just doing that side of things, and
Nice.
that's part of what I like to bring that in when I'm doing paranormal stuff. Like, if I am investigating or if I've had a vision of something and I want to find details, I bring in that research and archival science side of it and try to actually figure out what's going on. So I really love learning the history of those places, and I've been to Gettysburg,
Okay.
and I did see some interesting things there. But that was a very quick trip on the way to pick up my my stepsister from New York at the time. So it was just
So I got another question, and now this one's rather silly, but given the genre of our show, would you rather survive a zombie apocalypse or a mutant apocalypse?
okay. That depends, because hmm, are these mutants that like, what kind of mutants are we talking about? Are we talking about mutants I can talk to, like mutants from, Futurama, or are we talking about mutants like I Am Legend mutants kinda thing?
I would say more like Toxic Avenger. When someone says mutant to me, I'm thinking the trauma film, like and
Yeah, okay.
know,
So, yeah, I would go with zombies. I mean, they're slow, they're dumb, they just wanna eat brains, like, it's I feel like that would be easier to easier to, like, deal with overall. Mutants kind of seem a little stronger, a little bit more I mean, they're mutants, so I would assume they have more strength and
strength and
power and
yeah, yeah,
probably cognitive abilities.
yeah.
So, yeah, I'm gonna go with zombies.
Okay, yeah. See,
Yeah.
that's what I answered when I for the interview. I said zombies, mutants. No, they could probably kill.
Yeah, like, that's the
Uh,
thing. Are they mutants, like, on Futurama that I can go and, like, make peace and, like, tell them they're worthy, or is it mutants that just wanna destroy? I'm
yes,
gonna go with the zombies.
nice, nice. So this is leading into a little bit more about yourself, but let me skip that one. You already answered that you play The Sims. So what console, or are you playing like on a phone or on a tablet?
I just play on my laptop. I used to play, when I was in high school, I used to play a lot of PS2. I'm aging
Nice,
myself a little bit.
nice,
PS, yeah, PlayStation 2. So I did play a lot of like Tekken and ATV games
nice.
and just fighting games. And of course, I was amazing at Guitar Hero. I could play excellent on like everything.
Wow.
So, but yeah, as far these days, especially after college, I didn't really have time to play video games in college, just because I was so busy. So I don't really have a console. Yeah, I do have a console though at home. I still play my Super Nintendo.
Nice, nice. Keeping it
Yeah,
classic.
I still have my Super Nintendo. Oh yeah, keeping
Yes,
it classic. But no, The Sims I just play on my laptop. And it
nice.
sounds like
That
an airplane about to take off because it's not a gaming laptop, it's a Mac. I've had it for like 6 years now. Need a new
nice.
laptop. But yeah, it's great. It does the job.
Nice, nice. All right. So that you answered question. There was another question around that. So thank you.
Okay.
All right. So who or what inspired you to be who you are now?
That's a good question. And I don't have one answer for you because, I like to look at the people I meet or the people I admire in media or in history and ask myself, okay, what about them do I like? What about them do I admire? And what about them can I learn from to make myself a better version of myself that I want to be, you know? And I try to just constantly be very introspective, and I try to be very aware of how I'm perceived, but also how I feel, how
Mhm.
I, you know, what I'm giving off, and the energies I'm giving off, as we were talking about energies before the show. And yeah, I don't have one particular answer, but I do think I'm very much an amalgamation of all the people I know and love, and the history I've learned, and the media I watch. I will say Gilmore Girls is my favorite show. It has been since I was 12, and uh, it's definitely evident how much, because I don't know if you've ever watched Gilmore Girls. Have you? You would
Yes,
like
I
Gilmore
have.
Girls, you're a fan. Okay.
Yes.
So you understand like the rapid fire, the constant barrage of random um just references to things that people might not understand, but I'm going to make
Yes.
a reference anyway, and I'm not
Yes.
going to necessarily have the time to explain it to you, so you might have to look it up later. Listening to a billion different genres of music, just all of that, you know, that really shaped a lot of who I am because I watched it at such a young age, and I remember just thinking like I liked that. I liked that they didn't put their media, you know, like they didn't just watch one type of movie. Like they were watching Judy
Yeah.
Garland, and then they were watching, you know, like cult classics, and they're watching Grey Gardens, and they're watching like I mean, I really appreciated that. And I just kind of I liked that they were so they didn't fit in the box that I had grown around, you know, that I'd grown up around of
Yeah.
parents and daughters, of being the smart kid who's also into a lot of weird music and beatniky books and
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff. So I will say, watching those again recently has reminded me just how much those have influenced me. But you know, a lot of my influences, I remember growing up, I wanted to be. I always admired and still admire very much Julie Andrews because you know, if you watch her interviews and you watch her films that aren't just Sound of Music and,
Yeah.
you know, and you watch Victor Victoria and you watch the art film she did with her husband in the 70s where she's topless. Like, I mean, if you watch her stuff, like a lot of people seem to think of her as, oh, she's Mary Poppins. And that's what she is. That's all she is. She's the queen. She is this, you know, and she is those things. She is brilliant and poised and genteel and kind. And I love that about her. And I do so very much try to be that as well. And it's just who my like it's just my heart is there. That's always been my heart. But I love that I used to put all this pressure on myself to be prim and proper and right and you know to be more palatable to everyone around me and to fit into their box of what they expected from me. And yeah, when I read when I saw one of her interviews and she was, you know, she said a curse word and she talked about being topless in an art film and she talked about, you know, the way that she admires people who are outside of the box because she doesn't put herself in a box and that kind of thing. It's just I think that there's so much more to her than people know and than people give her credit for. And I don't know. She's just a huge inspiration. Audrey Hepburn's a huge inspiration. The way that she was, you know, she left a life of Hollywood for philanthropy and to help people. And I just, that's ultimately what I try to focus on is like, where's my heart at? Where's my head at? Where's my energy at? So yeah, I'm always
Awesome.
trying to be aware and change what I don't necessarily think is the best and adapt and but also be gentle and kind with myself too.
Nice.
So
Nice. So because you mentioned Gilmore Girls, I have to ask you this question.
yeah.
Jesse or and I was almost called him Conrad. Um now I can't Logan. Jesse or Logan.
Jess Jess or Logan? Okay. I can't stand Logan. I'm gonna put that right there. He is a rich pretty boy snob. I don't like him. I don't like him. I liked him and I had moments where I liked him. I do think he was good for Rory in a way. I think he really taught her to expand her boundaries and to stop questioning everything and again to stop underestimating herself, right? I mean, the whole in omnia parata scene of you know, you jump, I jump, Jack. Like but she had to put herself out there, and
Yeah.
he put that into perspective, and I think he was good for her in that time in her life
Yeah.
until he wasn't.
Yes.
And it's the scene for me when and I've probably watched and I'm not exaggerating because I have watched every episode of the show since I was 12. Of course, it wasn't finished at the time, but I've had the DVDs. Like I burned those DVDs through. I had to throw them away. Like I mean, I still watch them all the time on streaming. So I've seen them a lot. So I'm gonna get specific. But there's a scene when I think it's season 6 or 5 when she's quit Yale and she's living with her grandparents and Logan is, having to go off, so he's partying and he's not in a good headspace. And Jess comes back into town to give her the book that he wrote and to just say, hey, right? Like he's doing great.
Yeah.
He wants to show Rory that he's not as impulsive as he was. He sat down, he actually accomplished something. He's got a job. Like he wants to show her that, right?
Hmm.
But he doesn't come back expecting anything. And that's what I appreciated. But that whole scene where they go to dinner together and Logan shows up and like he's just being an ass. And finally Jess outside says, like, reminds her who she is and perspective, like, we used to make fun of guys like that. And now you're out of Yale, you're not doing, like, what are you doing? And he snapped her back into it.
Yes.
And that was when I was like, okay, now's the right time for her to be back with Jess. He had to get through his stuff. He had to work through all of that turmoil and anger. He had to trust a little bit that, people around him aren't constantly going to let him down in the way that he's been used to. And like, it seems like he's grown at that point. And I'm like, okay, now dump Logan and get back with Jess. This is the time.
Yes.
So unfortunately, I think that I think it's pretty evident in the new seasons that came out.
Fourth
Did you see the
season.
revival?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's pretty evident what's going on there, which really pisses me off because I was really hoping it would be Jess.
Yeah, it was one of those things of I was hoping that, it would be him,
Yeah.
that he would, make a comeback.
And the thing is, he's doing so well for himself, and
Yes,
Rory needs that. Rory needs
yes,
him, and like
yes,
he needs Rory, and it's just it's making me so mad.
yeah. I missed that they didn't have Sookie in it.
I mean, she was in it for like a hot second, but
Yeah,
yeah, it was because of scheduling conflicts,
yeah.
unfortunately.
And there's been rumors that they're gonna do another
I
set.
really hope they do.
I
I've been
hope.
actually listening to Scott Patterson's podcast. I'm all in. He's doing a podcast where he's going through and he's never watched the show because he didn't like watching himself. And so now he's watching for the first time every episode and every week is a different episode. And they've had Michelle was the first guest. They've had Maury on there. They've had Kirk on there. They've had what's his name? I can't remember. Anyway, he was like the vocal or the acting coach for it or the
Yeah,
dialogue coach. That's what it is. They've had some incredible guests. Milo Ventimiglia was on it a few weeks ago. So yeah, I definitely check out that podcast. But he has said like that he would love to do more and that he hopes they will do more.
they
So
really need to. They
they
really
really
need to
do.
give us a full season, not 4 episodes.
Yes. Well, and the thing is, especially now because of streaming, a whole new generation, a whole new group of people is finding the show. And even within our generation, people who or I don't know how old you are, but I'm assuming we're somewhere in the same generation. Right? Even people who grew up in the same time period, it was just on the CW. I mean,
Yeah.
it wasn't a big show and never won any awards, even though it should have.
Yes.
And so now it's got such a wide platform and people are realizing how incredible it is. And most of the story, most of the references even have aged well,
Yeah.
that people who are younger and the Gen X and the Gen Z generation is able to still like, oh, Britney Spears or, oh, like a political figure that might be in the news right now or something. It's
Yeah.
just, it's a
Yeah.
good show.
I mean, I'm 43, but I didn't catch it first run. I caught it like when it was in reruns, and that was because
Yeah.
my wife started watching it when we were dating, and it's kind of like, what are you watching? Oh, Gilmore Girls, and then I get caught. I
Well,
started.
the thing is, the name Gilmore Girls, I think, turns a lot of people off, girls included,
Yeah.
because they're like, "Oh, it's a girly show," or "Oh, it's a soap opera," and it is like to me like one of the first main dramedies that we had
Yes.
because it is so very much very equally a comedy and a drama,
Yes.
and but they do so well of bringing the comedy into the dramatic moments too,
Yes.
and not
Yeah.
in a sitcom-y way,
No.
in
No.
a
It
real way. It
it
feels
it,
real.
it does, and you put yourself there in Stars Hollow, and it's just like, oh my god,
Yeah, that's also a very comforting, like we were talking with Harry Potter, that's a very comforting world for me. There's a reason why I watch it so much. Like I've probably seen it 50 times, like I said, at least. And I watch it a lot. I can quote almost every episode. I could probably tell you shot for shot what most episodes look like. Like it is just
wow,
because and that's part of my ADHD too,
yeah,
is you tend to find something that you know where it's going, so there's no anxiety. You don't have to pay much attention because you're doing other things and you already know it. And the way that I do with film and TV that I really, really love and I get hyper focused on like that is, okay, I watch it first for content. Then I'm gonna watch it again for content I missed the first time because I was thinking about the previous content I just heard. And then I'm gonna watch it again now for, okay, I'm gonna pay attention to acting choices because now I know what's going on. Now I know like the script. So now I wanna know, okay, why did she choose to do that with her? What would I have done if I had just read those words? And what can I learn from her? Because I am an actor and a singer. What can
yeah,
I learn from her by seeing these words? I wouldn't have thought to say it with this inflection, but her inflection made it more natural. So how can I bring that into my acting? That kind of thing. And then
nice.
from there, I'm like, okay, cinematography. So now I know why she's doing these things. Why did the blocking put her there? Did she do that? And like, it's a
Wow, so
lot, but that's
you break it down to
I try to. Oh, I don't try to. I just do. I really enjoy it. And when I say that, like you asked earlier, what are my hobbies? I really love TV and film, and I love
yeah,
reading. But TV and film for me, I because I don't analyze books in the same way. I don't analyze writing necessarily in the same way. I analyze things that I can use in acting, like
yeah,
dialogue and blocking and things like that. So, and I really like the production side of things too. So, yeah, when I find a film or I find a TV show that really brings me comfort, that does give me reason to, be able to watch it again with a fresh perspective so many times, and to
yeah,
find something new so many times and focus on something new, and
yeah.
that's why I get that way with with film.
Yeah, no, I totally get it. Like I'm that way. Like I'm a Trekkie. I love Star Wars too. And people say you can't love both, but there's a
Oh, you can love
magic.
both.
You
Yeah, they're
definitely
both
can.
amazing.
There's
I
there's a
love both.
magic. There's a magic to Star Wars where you know you're going to see Star Wars in the theater. Now we're getting a little bit more to the streaming, like with the Mandalorian and stuff like
Mhm.
that. But Star Wars for me, for my generation, it's always something that I went to the movies and made a big event about. And Star Trek was something that I want to sit home and watch.
Yes.
The movies were great, and my favorite series of that was Star Trek Deep Space Nine. It
Mhm.
was a little bit easier because they're on the same space station all the
Mhm.
time. So you and Avery Brooks is like one of my favorite actors. The man has talent to
Yeah. No, I
no
agree with that.
to no end. He has talent, um, and he really made that show. If you really look behind it, he wasn't the hokey. Nothing wrong with William Shatner. Nothing wrong with um, John Luke Picard. But Avery Brooks made it an art. Made Deep Space
Mm.
Nine artsy because
Interesting. That's an interesting take on it.
just by his acting skill, and he brought everybody together. But the way he said certain things, his lip will curl. It's just the
Those
man was,
subtleties.
yeah, it was magic. That by far is my favorite series.
That's
Um,
awesome.
so we do have a buddy of mine, a co-host. She's gonna be jumping on in a bit. Shauna's gonna be joining us.
Hulu design. Oh my gosh, I wish I had my deck
Really,
right next to me, but I don't.
really. Well, you
Yeah,
know what? I could probably put it up in post.
yeah, it's
Uh,
the Hierophant. The Hierophant Cthulhu. It's from our Terror Tarot deck because I love Cthulhu. And yeah, and we did like so the Hierophant kind of is like the male, and then the high priestess is the female version of that kind of, and she is Medusa. We gave her Medusa. So we have, and they're both like really green, and oh, it's really cool if you look at them together. I love those 2.
nice, nice.
Sorry, that was a little bit of a
Oh,
tangent.
no, 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 that's perfectly fine. That's
You
perfectly
mentioned
fine.
Cthulhu and I got excited.
No, no, that's great. And I'll probably now you see I'm like zooming in on my screen. Oh, the headless horseman.
That's Death. Oh, that's one of my favorites.
Oh my
The
god, it's
Hermit.
the
Mm,
Emperor. You know what? I'm
yep,
looking at the Emperor card and
Dracula.
I'll pull that actually reminds me of, I forgot what I was going to say. It kind of,
Sounds like me.
no, because I looked at it at first and I'm like, that reminded me of someone, and then it left my mind. But then when I look at the
Hmm.
Empress, that actually reminds me of Morticia.
Yeah, it was kind of like I was going for her confidence and like her, I didn't want it to be a copy of her or like a vampira. I would say vampira. I didn't want it to be like a copy of any of those because honestly, like first of all, we don't have the rights to those characters, and we're
Yeah,
not about to do, we're not gonna do that.
yeah,
I know a lot of businesses that do, and like that's I'm not judging you, but like we very much wanted to make sure we were on the up and up and not using any type of character that's not in the public domain.
yeah.
And for characters, there's characters in there that we've created ourselves. Like there's a creepy marionette, there's a siren who's sitting on a rock with skulls of the men she's eaten underneath her, and like things like that. So but with her, with that female vampire, I wanted like somebody sexy and seductive, but confident and like relaxed and just in power. And so I thought of like Elvira and Vampira and Morticia because she is just my favorite. Morticia. Oh,
Oh, she's great.
I love
She's
her.
great.
Like
Wow,
I said, she and Gomez are goals. I love them so much. They just worship each other.
they do. They
I love
do.
it.
They are idealistically the ultimate marriage. Honestly,
Yes. It's
it.
very much what's so funny about it is, you know, my partner right now, or my partner, I'm planning on him being my partner for forever. He is too. That's how our relationship is. It's very interesting because we just both like each other and admire each other so much, and we're very vocal about that. We're very like, just appreciative, and we always try to tell each other when we're thinking, "Oh, I love you so much," or "Oh, I admire the way that you did this," or that kind of thing. It's very there's just a lot of passion, a lot of romance, and it's nice
And
because
that's
I grew up with not the best real world examples of marriage, but I grew up with at least Gomez and Morticia, and I always kind of thought, oh, if that could be real, and now I'm in a relationship that it feels real, and it is real, and it feels like what I always hoped I would
you
have like them, and yeah, it's pretty beautiful. So
you
I will say
emulate
that.
you emulate what influenced you.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
no other way to say it. You
So I guess
emulate
your
that.
question earlier about my influences and stuff, I would definitely say the Addams Family, Gomez and Morticia, their
Nice,
relationship,
nice. There.
and like
So
their support for each
go
other,
ahead.
you know?
Yes, yes. So what about Lily and Herman Munster?
Oh, I love Lily and Herman. I've been very upset though because so I watch Addams Family, but and particularly the television show, the Addams Family from the 60s. That's another comfort show for me that I watch a lot, a lot, a lot. And it's been very easily streamable for the past few years. And but I cannot find the Munsters to stream. And I watched them on television when I was younger,
Yes.
but so I know I loved the show, but I don't have a very fresh recollection of, like, the relationships with the characters. Um, and so I wish so badly I could find where to stream them and for free. I don't wanna buy every episode because it's the only thing I've found so far is, like, $2 per episode. I'm not doing that.
Wow. Ouch.
So yeah, I have a much better, much fresher understanding of, the relationship between Gomez and Morticia, that I do remember Lily and Herman, and they're less romantic. They're more to me along the lines of like your typical husband and wife relationship of the 50s and 60s, but
Yes.
with a it so the reason why I personally, in my experience and from what I do remember about the Munsters, I do prefer the Addams Family because of Gomez and Morticia's relationship. Because back in the 60s, I mean, they literally say the word sex. They say making love. They talk about making love. They talk about their romantic relationship in in front of their family and children. And not in a way that seems inappropriate, just in a way that says like this is a natural form love for people, for adults and for husband and wife. And I think that was really good for me watching that growing up too, because again, I didn't have that example. And so to be able to see this husband and wife who both have their own interests but support each other wholeheartedly and genuinely want to see what the other is doing and make it happen for them. Like when Morticia's into art and he's just like pretending to buy all of her art, or is buying all of her art just to make her feel accomplished, and gets her an art critic to, and just he's so supportive of her and she is so supportive of him. And like he actually talks to her about the finances, and she has a he has a very, he has a hand in rearing the children just as much as she does. And
Yeah,
it's a much more equal relationship between Gomez and Morticia that
yeah,
you did not have during the time, and you didn't have much after. Even now, you still have this trope of this husband and wife and their marital status being kind of it's just we're parents, not we're parents who are also in a relationship.
yeah,
And that's why I love Gomez and Morticia is, yes, we're parents, but first and foremost, we are lovers and we are romantic and
yeah.
we are friends to our children, because but we also are examples to them. And I love them so much.
They are awesome. And to answer your question about the Munsters, the Peacock has it.
Is it on Peacock?
Yes,
Oh my god, I have Peacock. I'm so excited.
yes.
I'm looking at my app right now to put it on my phone, like to put it
Yeah,
on my. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. I'm so excited.
yes. I was just like,
Thank you.
hmm. So no, she's a cosplayer.
Very
Um,
nice.
she's a baker. So before
Oh,
she gets
cool.
here, what is your favorite cupcake flavor?
I love chocolate. Chocolate, chocolate, chocolate is my favorite. I also really like yellow cake with chocolate icing, but still chocolate, chocolate, chocolate is going to be what I choose most times, 9 times out of 10.
Nice.
But I also really like lemon. I love lemon. I like to bake too. I'm not a baker. Like, I mean, I'm not professional or anything. I don't bake, but I love to bake. I love to bake for me and my friends and my family. And so, I always like to. I love pumpkin muffins with cream cheese icing, which I guess is kind of like a cupcake, or pumpkin muffins by themselves. They don't need any icing because they're delicious. Um, but I love to make lemon cookies and lemon pie, lemon meringue pie, and yeah, I really love chocolate and I love lemon and I love strawberry. Yum.
Nice. Nice. See, I'm not a cakey type person, so it's just like
Mm.
mm, red velvet. I'm boring,
Red
or
velvet, yeah.
cheesecake. When it comes to
Mm.
frostings, I'm more of a buttercream
Mhm.
or
I like it all.
thicker stuff. Yeah, yeah.
I like it all.
I'm not
If
a.
it's sweet, I'll eat it.
I don't like whipped cream frosting. It just ew, it melts.
I can see that. I like the whipped cream frosting from, like, I think it's, I guess, Publix, I don't know, from very specific, like, grocery store whipped cream frosting. There's some of those that just they hit right. But yeah, if I'm gonna choose a can of frosting or make my own recipe, it's gonna be buttercream.
Nice, nice, nice. All right, what else do we have? Um, come on, Shauna. All right, we're just gonna go. If she jumps in, she jumps in.
Cool.
Here's another silly question because we love these. We're
I love
silly.
silly. Yes.
Um, Keanu Reeves or Reynolds? Keanu Reeves or Ryan Reynolds?
Ryan Reynolds. Absolutely. I love Keanu Reeves as a person, but
Okay.
I think Ryan Reynolds is a much. I'm gonna get smited for this. I love Keanu Reeves as a person, but I also have a very painful dagger in my heart still from his performance as Jonathan Harker in Dracula.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna give it to Ryan Reynolds. Also, I just think Ryan Reynolds is I personally enjoy his acting and his style of comedy and his very like his quick wit style.
Yeah.
I really enjoy that. Yeah. And I think he seems like a cool person, funny person, chill. He and Blake Lively's relationship makes me happy.
Yeah. Yeah. So would you say Ryan Reynolds is more badass?
I don't know, because John Wick. I think they are equally badass,
Okay.
but I think for my personal style of humor and of the things that I watch, Ryan Reynolds is more my flavor of badass.
Nice, nice, nice. All right. And let's see, do we have anything else? What is your favorite holiday?
Halloween.
Of course.
Absolutely.
Of
Build a
course,
whole
tis the
business
season.
around it.
Tis the season.
Yes.
And you know what? I was watching something on TV, and it was like a news report. And actually, Halloween is the bigger holiday where people buy more stuff than they spend more money than on Christmas or Thanksgiving.
Wait, really? I
Yes,
wouldn't
or
imagine for
the
Christmas.
second, or maybe the second biggest.
Wow. Yeah, yeah, I could see after
Probably
Christmas.
second.
I could see
Yeah,
after Christmas because Christmas is, you got well, it's not just Christmas, you got all those other holidays that are happening
yeah,
and all
yeah,
of them pretty much are gift-giving holidays. So, yeah, but I mean, I think we should make Halloween gifts a thing because Halloween is one of the only holidays where you're not obligated to be around family, you just kinda get to do your own thing, and I feel like it's
yeah,
a more of a like, your found family holiday for me, at least it has been. And
yeah.
I would l like, everybody I'm all of my best friends, we're huge Halloween fans, so we really should be doing, like a Halloween version of, like, Dirty Santa or something. I'm gonna do
Yeah,
this,
that would be cool. I mean, especially when you get the tarot cards. One of the things that I
right?
learned is that your first deck should be gifted to you.
That's what a lot of people believe. I'm not personally one of those who believes that just because I don't like hard and fast rules with something that's not supposed to be hard.
Yeah,
It's like
okay.
saying you're not punk rock because you don't listen to this person or this. You're punk rock if you're petting puppies, and it says you're not supposed to pet the puppies. That's punk rock. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
I feel very much that way because I'm into metal, I'm into rock, I'm into a lot of things that are kind of meant to be anarchical of themselves, like, and it's not supposed to be rule based. Witchcraft isn't supposed to be rule based. It's supposed to fly in the face of those sort of doctrines and religious type of practices. But a lot of people really do like they like their rules. They like their that kind of guidance. And I tried so very hard because that's what I thought I was supposed to do when I was like getting into witchcraft, and I just realized it wasn't for me. So I just kind of do things the way I feel like I want to do them and with
okay.
good intentions in my heart and in my energy. And I've had amazing results. So I personally don't believe you have to do that. But if you feel like that's going to be a better way for you to get started, if you feel like you want somebody more that knows a little bit more about it to gift you your first one, like I totally understand that. But that's the thing. There's no
Yep.
rules. Just because I like to be a little chaotic doesn't mean you
It,
no
it,
rules. Just do what you feel is right. Do it with good intentions and see what
exactly.
happens.
Exactly. But that's awesome to know. My wife, you know, it was with her. It was just by chance. Again, we were talking about the crystals earlier. How she stumbled into it. And she's always been drawn towards that stuff, which is interesting. And she got into it. She saw the show, and then out of nowhere, her brother gets into it. And then one day he's like, "Hey, I got you. Would you like a set of tarot cards?" She's like, "Oh my god, yes! I've always wanted them, but I've always read that you had to be gifted them." And
And
so
that's a
that's why
lot.
she,
And so many people who want to get into tarot and witchcraft feel like, first of all, I can't talk about it with anybody I know because they're not interested in it because you haven't found your people yet. Secondly, oh well, now I can't even buy my own tarot deck, so now I have to find somebody I can talk to about tarot, and then ask them somehow without seeming ungrateful for them to buy me a tarot deck. And it's just like if you're going through those things and you don't have the support system around you already, like
yeah,
that's hard. How do you get started? So
it,
I that's another reason why I'm just like, no, get yourself if you want to do that maybe with your first novelty deck or your first really, but if you're interested in tarot, go on Amazon, go on Etsy, whatever, find yourself a Rider Smith Waite deck with a guidebook and
yeah,
just get started. Like, you know what I mean? And then from there you'll find your tribe, you'll find your family, you'll find your community that can maybe you can all decide to do a tarot swap where you do like Dirty Santa, but you get to decide, you get to do a tarot swap. So you technically aren't buying it, but I mean, there's just different ways to do that. And we shouldn't have to find loopholes for things that are not meant to be hard and fast rules in the first place. So I think that's
exactly.
really just one of those kind of I don't know if it was meant to be gatekeepy, but it feels very exclusionary because how is
It
somebody who doesn't have the community yet, who doesn't have the resources yet, who doesn't know where to go or who to ask for, how do they get started in tarot if you're not supposed to buy your first deck? You know?
Exactly. Exactly. It felt weird. It seemed weird. It's probably one of those old school rules,
Yeah.
but
Somebody
Shauna's
made it up and
here.
somebody decided. Hi. Oh, I
Hi,
love
oh my God,
your outfit.
thank you.
So
Sorry,
cute.
sorry, pardon my my tardiness, but I get on and you're talking about tarot, and I'm like, yeah,
It's perfect.
that's what I was. And I love that I caught the tail end of you talking about how is a baby tarot reader supposed to start reading when you're supposed to be gifted. Like you literally have to fall into it, that somebody, you know, somebody who has the gift to give you your first deck,
Exactly.
or else you're kind of.
And who has, not only do you have to have a relationship with somebody that's going to gift you something, how many of your friends do you just randomly give gifts for? Like, you know what I mean? It's, some people are like that, but it's just kind of like, after a while of getting to know them, you'll be giving them gifts. But like, how are you supposed to, okay, I'm going to try to get into this community knowing nothing about it, not being able to even converse about the subject yet. And now I'm going to try to make friends with people because I need a tarot deck. I feel like that's just like, no, go
Yes,
to your local shop or go online and contact me. Ask
I was
me.
looking at
Message
your
me on
tarot decks.
Etsy.
They
Like,
are
not even,
amazing.
oh, thank you. And it doesn't have to be about my tarot deck. I'm happy to just talk about whatever. Like, if you have questions about tarot, if you want to, know some sources or get some good recommendations, it doesn't have to be about my deck, but like, message me on Etsy, message me, email me at the Ghoulish Gal, the Ghoulish Gal at Gmail.
We
And
all
just,
know how I feel about Etsy.
yeah.
I'm a big old Etsy hill. I love it.
Me too.
Nice, nice. So welcome, Shauna. Hope you're feeling
Thank
better.
you, thank you.
So go ahead, Shauna.
Oh, I just said hope feeling better, getting there, a little bit.
Okay.
Oh, good.
So tell us more about yourself and your business.
Yes.
So I think I touched briefly earlier on like what the business is centered around, right? So it's all about creating unique designs. So like I said, we don't use anything that's in the public or that's not in the public domain, and we try to be as original as possible with all of our concepts. We have been focused on tarot for the past 2 years because it got started where we were just going to do t-shirts. So the way that we got started on the business is kind of backwards and not what you would expect, not what I would expect, because we knew first and foremost that we just wanted to be out of the 9 to 5. My business partner was a software engineer at the time, so he was making good money and he was in a good position, but he just hated that 9 to 5 office life, working for somebody else. And I felt the same way. The idea of putting all of my time and energy and, schooling and abilities into working for somebody else's dream, it was, for me, I had dreams of my own I wanted to get taken care of. And I also have a lot of health issues. So working a 9 to 5 is difficult.
Mhm.
I need flexibility. And so we decided to go ahead and look into what are some different options that we can do for like creating a business. We're smart. We live in an online age of technology. Like, let's do something with e-commerce. And so we did a lot of research and found print on demand, which is a great way to enter into the e-commerce world without having a lot of overhead, without having to keep inventory. And so really we were just focused on designs at that point. What can we bring to this world that nobody else is doing, or that somebody else isn't going to be able to do in the same way we can. And so we needed a niche. And you asked about Uncle Black, you asked about video games earlier. My business partner is very into video games, and so he initially wanted to do that, but I'm like, I don't know enough about games, and almost all of that is not in public domain, so I don't know how we're going to do it, and like we really thought about that for a minute. And so that didn't last long. And then I started thinking, and I reluctantly, because I was kind of nervous that he wouldn't like it, pitched the idea for the niche focused on Halloween and witchcraft, which is, I'm a witch and I love Halloween and I love macabre and I love, anything that's like spooky and creepy and strange. I always have. But it's not his thing. So I was like, is he going to go for it or not? And he thought it was a great idea. So we said, okay, let's just to test and make sure that we can do something within this niche, let's write down ideas for at least 100 design ideas on paper. And once we get those designs, they don't have to be fully fleshed out. They can just be ideas that we can run with. But once we can get those designs on paper and we got 100 of them, we know that we can move forward when we'll have plenty of work to do and plenty of things to put out. And this is a niche we can get into. And I think we got that list in like a week. Like less than a week. And that's with both of us working full time. I was working I was a pre-K teacher at the time. And of course he was a software engineer. So we were busy and exhausted at the end of the day. and so, yeah, but so we did it. And that was when we were like, okay, let's do this. Let's go. And not very far into creating designs, I got this idea for a tarot design because I love tarot. I've been practicing since I was 15, 16. And it's something that like I've always thought was such a beautiful form of art, especially the Rider Smith Waite deck, like the original deck that everybody kind of knows and loves. And I love the symbolism. The symbolism of that deck speaks to me, and the art, like I love how you can just glance at the pictures and the artwork and kind of understand the story that's being told. And so I was like, okay, I'm also getting really into the goddess Hecate. And I had friends who were witches who were, working with the deity Hecate. And so like, I see, okay, you got it, Shanna. You like Hecate? Is she one of your deities?
Well, one of my closest friends, that's hers. Mine's Psyche.
Oh, very nice. Very
I actually have a set of runes.
Oh, I love runes.
Oh, they're gorgeous. I'll have to show you.
Beautiful. I have a set that's like kind of an emerald color, but anyway, but yeah. So I was getting into Hecate. I knew that she was becoming popular, and a lot of friends were working with her at the time. So I thought, okay, I want to make a tarot card based on her. And initially, I really wanted to kind of find a major arcana card that she could fit with, and so I did some research and found like, okay, she's the goddess of the moon and witchcraft and everything and transformation and all about the triple goddess, the maiden, the mother, and the crone. And so I went and kind of decided the moon would be the best idea for that. Plus one of her companions is a wolf. And yeah, so we kind of ended up with this Hecate kind of woodcut style tarot card in the moon, and people went crazy for it. Like we were getting messages all the time of where's this deck and do you have more tarot cards? And I mean, it was crazy. So at that point we said, okay, tarot is definitely the way we need to go, but we're the ghoulish garb. We're the ghoulish garb. So like, let's focus on, let's take a step back from the goddesses for now. And let's try to really build this brand around more spooky stuff at the moment. And then we can bring in the more, we wanted it to be more focused on spooky witchcraft. And then later we could bring in the more of like ethereal witchcraft kind of stuff. So we did the tarot deck, the major arcana. And we still get messages every single day about when is the minor arcana coming out? And we are going to work on that, I promise, but it's going to be probably like 4 or 5 years away. But I don't want people to feel like they can't enjoy the art now. So if you just love the artwork and you want the cards, then go ahead and get them and just make sure that you keep your receipt that you've bought it from us, not from a reseller, not from another, but you bought it from us. And then whenever that deck does come out, show me your receipt, show me your, whatever you've got, and I'll give you a significant discount on that deck so that, you've already paid for the major arcana. You shouldn't have to pay for it twice. But I want you to be able to enjoy the cards and get to know the artwork now so that, you don't have to wait 5 years for a new deck.
Exactly. But we're building a connection to your deck. Yes. In its infancy, so that once you get the full set, it kind of makes it a little bit more in depth and a little bit more connected.
Yeah, like bonus material, right? And it's almost like a sneak peek because the major arcana is just 22 cards, and then you've got the original, you've got the 56 of the minor arcana, so it's a lot more cards. That's why it's going to take so long. But yeah, we have our major arcana tarot deck that is in color. It's vibrant. It's beautiful. It's got a matte black siding, and then we just released our shadow edition of that deck, which is black and
yes, that
depth, and then it's got Oh, it's stunning. And it's got silver edging, and it comes with a bonus card. It is a bonus version of the world that we decided to do for our 3rd anniversary. It is one of my favorite cards of the entire deck. It is a creepy Victorian ghost coming through the mirror with her hand reaching out towards you, and like and you've got the gallery of this old Victorian mansion around her with spider webs and dried flowers, and it's absolutely beautiful. And it's gorgeous in color, and it's gorgeous. The color version's kind of like a sepia tone. We also have a black and white version, and we have a gray toned black and white version. And so like you can see those, variations on all of our clothing. I mean, all of our designs are available on our merch, which is clothing like t-shirts, t-shirts, hoodies, tank tops. We've got tapestries, posters, phone cases. So there's a lot going on. And now we're working on our goddess deck, because we did start that up again. And we're almost, we are like, I think we have 6 left to do for the major arcana. And then we have to write the book, or I have to write the book, and then do all the manufacturing. So hopefully we'll have that on shelves by the end of next year. And then we can get started full-fledged into the minor arcana of the Tarot. There's a lot going on.
It sounds like
a lot.
So how in all that then did you get ensconced with a band?
Oh yeah, that's new. That literally just happened 4 days ago.
That's what I'm saying. Like, because I had to sit there and I'm like, to refresh everything in my mind, because I'm not feeling good. I'm like, okay, let me go full on, internet creeper, see what's going on. And I'm like, so she's got all of this. She's a voice actress, does all this amazing work, and now she's in a band, which, by the way, chef's kiss on the name. Fantastic.
Well, and I didn't. Oh my gosh! So let's talk about that for a hot minute.
Yes,
if
please.
you don't mind. Okay, so,
I do not mind. Please do.
Right, so I have been singing since before I could speak words. At the same year that I was born, and I was born with a lot of health complications, so I spent about 3 months in the hospital as soon as I was born. But I was born in March of '93, and in October of '93 is when
baby.
I know. October of '93 is when Nightmare Before Christmas came out, and even though my mother is not, or was not especially, she's much more into spooky and creepy things now. Like, she loves paranormal and horror films and true crime. But when I was younger, she did not. She was very easily creeped out. And I don't know how, because she never liked Nightmare Before Christmas. But I was an infant and I was watching it regularly. So somebody put it in the VCR. So I don't know.
You did.
Right? Like, obviously, I was 6 months old and just out of the hospital. I'm fine. It's fine. I'm brilliant, obviously. So yeah, she said she remembers me, like, kind of babble singing to Kidnap the Sandy Claus before I could even speak words. So, but I started singing in front of audiences when I was 6. So yeah, I've been singing my whole life. I've always known that music is something that I wanted to pursue in some aspect or another. When I was 13, I got into theater as well. And so I was doing musical theater, and I've got like more than 40, I think, live performances of like theater and opera and stuff under my belt at this point.
Wow.
So I love theater. I love performing. I just love performing in general. I love the idea that I get to stand here and be vulnerable and elicit some sort of response from every different person in this audience, hopefully, and try to just be as honest with my art as possible, and really give something, because that's the thing for me, is like going to live performances, whether it's a concert or a play or a musical or an opera or whatever, a dance recital. Going to a live performance, there's this energy, and there is this, I always feel like refreshed afterward, and my soul, in a way, or like, it helped me cry through something I didn't realize I needed to cry through, or it made me happy when I really needed just to be energetic and happy, or whatever it is. And I love the idea that I get to be a part of that for people, because it's an escape, and that's what art is. That's why I love art, and anyway, so I've been a part of a few bands. When I was in college at Auburn University, I was a part of the Auburn Knights Orchestra, which has been around since 1930. And it is in the community. It's traditionally usually people within, the school, but it's not only school studies, students. Um, and I got to be the vocalist for them. It's a 21, I think it's 21 or 22 piece big band.
Nice.
The pieces change depending on the year.
Mhm.
And so we did a lot of swing and funk and jazz, and I mean, just a lot of good music, and sang a lot of weddings. And I was their vocalist for 2 years. I would have done longer, but I graduated. And yeah, and then after that, I played around a little bit with a 90s cover band that I was a lead singer of for a few months, until I ended up moving to Orlando. And now, so I had there's a website called Band Mix, where musicians who are either looking for somebody for their band or who are looking for a band or something can create a profile and put like demos of their work and like their influences, what they're looking to do, their commitment level, that kind of thing. And so I've had that up for 2 years. That's how I found the 90s cover band that I was a lead singer for. But usually it's just, I'm not really active on it. I update it every once in a while, because I'm always kind of like, well, if somebody's looking for me, then they'll contact me. If somebody, if somebody likes me, I'm not really, I've got so much going on that I'm not going to actively seek it out. But I very much feel like the right opportunities come to you when when you're ready for them. And not everything comes to you that comes to you is the right opportunity.
Right.
But for some reason, so my TikTok blew up in October or in August, 2 months ago. And so I've gotten a lot of messages about that. But then all of a sudden, like a week and a half ago, I kept getting messages on Band Mix, and I'm like, what's going on? So I even double checked. I was like, did I put my TikTok on there? Like, are people seeing something? And they're just like, what's going on with this? And nothing about the reason like my TikTok blew up was on there, nothing like that. But somehow I had got like 4 or 5 messages from different bands who were interested in meeting with me. And I was planning on meeting with all of them, but then I got these messages they were very excited messages from the bassist Compy and the lead guitarist and the founder Jake.
Those are
And
the best.
I was like, yeah, well, I mean, they were just very, very enthused, but also, I don't know, it was just, I got this feeling from them and this vibe. And so I got a message from Compy on like the 4th, October 4th, and I didn't answer it because I was like traveling. And then the 5th, the morning of the 5th, Jake messages me and Compy messages me again. And I'm like, okay, let's do this. This sounds great. And Jake is like sending me all of his resume. He's like done national tours, and he's sending me his resume and all this different stuff, and like sending me like what their plans
He's wooing
are.
you
And,
something fierce.
I mean, it's great. It was crazy. And the thing was, I'm just sitting here like, okay, I mean, why do you, I don't know. It's just surreal that I appreciate it, but I'm also like, I don't know. I mean, am I this cool? Like, I don't know.
I know what you mean. You're like, wait a minute, I'm just me. What is this going on?
Like,
it's
you
like,
have
what are
toured
you
nationally? Okay.
And are you sure we're talking about the same person here?
Right. Yeah. And I appreciate it. And I try not to let that imposter syndrome, I try to like be kind to myself and say like, just accept it and don't look into it more than it is, and don't try to say it's because of this and this. Just accept it and make a friend, And so we actually this was what impressed me the most, though, was he specifically was like, and we don't want to we're not a bar band, which is that's okay. I was in a bar band. Like, there's nothing wrong with bar band.
Nothing wrong with bar band.
But he was like, we're not a bar band. We want to travel. We want to tour, short tours, like month, 2 months at a time, because I appreciate that. Again, I have health issues and I have a business, so burnout is real. But he was like, we're not a bar band. We're hoping to open for shows nationally. We're hoping to tour ourselves. We're hoping to do all these things. And I'm like, and create an album. He sent me some of their demos of the instrumental tracks they already have created, and they're so good. And it's symphonic metal with like a little bit of like metal in there. Yeah,
he's speaking my love language here.
Right, he pitched it to me by saying Nightwish meets Evanescence with a little bit of like more symphonic in there, and I'm like, okay, I'm down. I love Nightwish and Evanescence. And I love metal. I really metal has been a huge part of my music
Are
interest
we becoming
since
best
I was in
friends?
like
Because I
6th
feel like
grade.
we're
So,
becoming best
I
friends.
mean,
No, no, I think I'm claiming her first because she
I
likes
love
Gilmore
making new
Girls.
friends. Well, we're all friends now.
Yes, we are.
Yeah, so I love
Family.
it. Woo. And so,
Can I?
but yeah, so I talked to Jake. Oh, go ahead, please.
No, no, you go on. You go on. Don't worry.
Oh, so I talked to Jake on the 5th, and like that night, he got the entire band, which I mean, it's 3 of them, and still, he got all 3 of them that night to do we did a video conference, like a video call. And, and again, the band's name is Dracora. And I'm like, I'm pretty damn sure they don't know anything about me. Besides, they heard my singing on Sally's song, and they were like, "We want you in the band." That's all they knew. That's
Oh
it.
God, I can't
They
wait till
had
you drop
no
that bombshell
idea,
on them.
right? Well, wait.
Oh my god.
So we do the video conference, and again, I'm trying to gauge whether or not they know this about me because I'm like, do they just want me because of my? Do they just want me because of that? You know, like I'm thinking it's too good to be true. They don't really want me. They just want a name or something, you know. But so the video conference, and like they are the sweetest people. When I tell you I love these
Metalheads are
guys,
though.
well, and I was always friends with metalheads in high school. Like I mean, I was friends with everybody, but my core group of friends was a bunch of metalhead people, like
Yeah.
metalhead dudes specifically, a couple of girls too, but like it was a bunch of metalheads, and they, you know, I did not, I look more along the lines of what you might expect now, but like I was much more. I wasn't allowed to be dark when I was in high school, and my parents just didn't like that. They didn't want me to. So even though I'm hanging around with all the emo kids and goth kids and rocker kids, I still got like a sore thumb because I'm over here looking like a cute little prep, and you know, with my
You were
skirt,
pink goth. It's okay.
I kind of, but like there was
you
no
were pink.
goth in it. There was just no goth in it.
No.
There
But
was
no,
goth in the
that's
part.
what it is though. Is you're outside, you look like this pink little bubblegum jelly bean, but inside you're like
Yes. Yes. Well, and the thing
so
is,
you're
like,
a
I've
pink
never
goth.
been.
I love that.
Yeah, I guess that's a good way to put it. And like even now, I call myself Persephone Goth because that's who I am. I'm very like bubbly and floral, and I love people, and I love, like, I'm a very loving person and a very kind and empathetic person, but like I have such an appreciation for the beauty and darkness. That's the goth. That's what goth is, right? It's the world is dark and the world can be scary, but I'm gonna find beauty in it because that's the world we live in. And I've always been that way. I've always had that in my heart. And so, but it was just really funny. Like I love, you're right. I love metalheads. And so we were on this call, and I expected it to maybe last 30 minutes. It lasted almost 2.5 hours.
It was like 2 hours later.
because we were just, I mean, they're just the kindest people. And like every morning we have a group chat, and every morning it's like, morning, you know, have a cup of coffee and sharing memes, and just like, I just love them so much. I really do feel like I've met another faction of my chosen family already. And it's just been 4 days. But you know, when you meet people that you connect with, that you're supposed to be around, that's how it works. It's always how it works for me.
Yes.
So
I
that
feel
feeling.
you on that. Yeah,
Right?
because there's certain
Right.
people, they walk into your life and it's like they were always there.
Yes, that's what it feels like.
You may have only met them a couple days ago, but if you actually start thinking about it, you honestly, it feels like you can't remember your life without them because they fit and blend so seamlessly into your life in a way, because they fill a space that needed to be filled.
You complement each other. Like,
yes,
you know, there's this like flow of your energies, right? And yeah, so what was so crazy is, so we're in this phone call, and at the halfway point or whatever, where we had finally, like, we talked about our goals, we had talked about personality types, we talked about, okay, like, hey, how are you with constructive criticism? And I'm like, bring it on. How are you with constructive criticism? And they're like, bring it on, you know? And like, so this very much of realizing and just being honest. I was honest with about, you know, by the way, I have health issues, so sometimes I'm out of commission. By the way, I have, all these different things. And they're like, oh, that's fine. We all he deals with PTSD and he deals with this. And, and it was just very, very kind. And when I mentioned my health issues, they took the moment to say, hey, listen, like Compy took a moment to say, I wouldn't have gotten through the past couple of months without these guys. And we're here for you and we love you and you're part of the family now. And it was just, they have made me feel so welcome and so very, like there hasn't been a transition period. It's just felt like, okay, you're family, you're in. And so I waited, like I said, I was trying to gauge what they knew, trying to gauge their reason for contacting me. And they kept mentioning it was really genuinely because of the demos that I had on my fan mix page, which is funny because Jake had seen it before and was like, oh, she won't be interested in this because he had seen mostly Disney stuff, but he didn't really listen to it. And so Compy found it again and sent him my video of me singing Sally's song, which is on YouTube, or on my TikTok. And that was when they decided they really wanted me in the band, which is awesome. But of course, we have to see if we vibe, right? And so we vibed. And so finally, whenever it was like, okay, it's very clear they want me because of my singing. They want me because of my personality. They want me because of all of that. So by the
Let's drop the
way,
bomb.
yeah. So I'm like, okay, so tell me why you named it Dracora. And he was like, well, I was thinking about like, I love spooky stuff and I love things that are kind of creepy and different. And I was talking to my fiance and thinking like, okay, what about something like Dracula? But I don't want to call it Dracula. Dracora. And I'm like, okay. So my name, as you know, is Shanna Stoker. And I'm related to Bram Stoker, who wrote Dracula. And they flipped their shit. It was awesome. It was great because it was just kind of like, and I don't normally do that. I don't normally just be like, I'm related to Bram Stoker, right? It's not something I just don't do that. But it was the coincidence and the fact that
it needed to be said.
It needed to be said because it was like, okay, they want me for the right reasons. I genuinely want to be a part of this band, but also, is this kismet?
It was. So, it really was. It feels like
That's what it felt like, and it was so. And I know people are going to be like, "Oh, she named her band Dracora." It is my band now, but it's not my band.
It wasn't your band at first.
No, this is all Jake. I didn't even know him. He didn't know me. Like, he didn't ask me to be a part of the band because of that reason. It just happened because it needed to happen, I guess.
Yeah.
Yes. And the craziest thing about this is like I was just saying last week before this happened, and then like 3 weeks before that, I was listening to like Evanescence and Flyleaf and Nightwish. I don't know, it was really into like Ginger and stuff. And I was just thinking like, man, I would love to be in a band like that. I also love like System of a Down and Pantera and stuff, but I can't scream. That's not my vocals. I wish it was. and I know there's voice teachers out there that teach how to do that without hurting your voice. So of course I would love to learn eventually. But the more of the like melodic classical voice of like Nightwish is and Evanescence, kind of that mixed tone is more of where I am. And I was just saying like, oh, I'd love to find a band. I would love to perform and record. And then this happens, and it was just, I feel like maybe there was a little manifestation going on in myself without me realizing it.
I'm thinking that there is, because there's no way that came into your life the way it did. The fluidity, the way it came in.
A week ago, and then I get four or five, I can't remember. I get 4 or 5 messages from different metal bands who want me to be their Amy Lee or their whatever, and it's like, okay.
Like, oh crap, maybe I need to calm down on this. Manifesting, it's a little too much.
It is. When I tell you, I fully believe in the power of manifestation, and when I say this, it's not just from a witchcraft perspective. I grew up in Southern Alabama in the Bible Belt. I grew up in Assembly of God churches that you get there, you throw off your shoes because Grammy's throwing off her shoes because she's going to be dancing in the aisle and speaking in tongues, and I'm going to dance too because I'm a little child and I have lots of energy. That I grew up in that church, and then I also grew up on my other side of my family in a Southern Baptist church, which is we do not dance, we do not speak in tongues, we read from the hymnal, we do the fire and brimstone type of thing, like very different. Very different. And so, for me, but I always, and I, even when I was starting to question, I started questioning my Christianity when I was in third grade, because I was in a PACE course at school, and we were studying mythology, Greek mythology. And I remember learning about Pandora's box and thinking, well, this sounds like Adam and Eve. And I went to church and I asked my Sunday school teacher, and she was like, stop asking questions. And that's when I was like, um, so, but yeah, I started questioning it from a young age, but I, even in questioning all the logic of it, I felt in my heart the spirituality of it, and I felt the connection to God, and I felt all of that. So I had a really hard time, basically trying to determine what was right for me, because okay, I don't necessarily love the religion, but I feel like I have such a connection to God and such a connection to the spirit, and I feel it in my soul, right? So maybe I am I guess I have to be Christian. And then, I found out my uncle converted to Judaism and practices witchcraft and taught me tarot. And I'm like, okay, I can pretty much make my own way.
Yes.
And so for me, prayer is just another form of manifestation. And whether or not you believe that some divine being is deciding for you whether or not your prayer is worthy, or you believe in what I believe, which is I am manipulating my energies and my brain waves, and trying to bring in good things back into my life by giving good things, by the rule of threes, whatever you put out into the universe comes back to you threefold. That's what I believe. It's not everybody's belief, but in my experience, has been the case. And the more that I've worked on my, changing those negative thoughts, and that, like, the mean girl thoughts that we grow up with of like, oh, I have to be jealous because I don't have that, or oh, we got to put each other down. It's like, no, build each other up.
Yes.
And I started combating that in high school when I would have those thoughts that I knew weren't my own, of like, I'd see somebody wearing something that maybe a friend would have called hoochie or something, and I'm like, why? And so I started.
That word, I love it.
You know what I mean, hoochie. I know we've heard that word.
It's been a hot minute with the big hoochie earrings,
right?
The hoochie hoops.
But like, you know what I'm saying, like, and then, but I would have those thoughts, like, because you're trained at that point. We go through conditioning, social conditioning, and it's very
like a reflex almost.
It does. And I realized, okay, how can I combat this? So every single time I'd have that thought, I would stop myself I genuinely would stop myself in whatever I was doing and think, okay, no, let's look at her again. She is confident. She is bright. She is living her best damn life and feeling good about herself. You know what I mean? And I now want to emulate that part of her that I like. Doesn't mean I have to dress the same way she does. I'm going to find what makes me feel confident, what makes me feel good. And I'm going to, lift each other up. And it's okay to have those reflexes that we've been conditioned to have, those negative thoughts. It's okay. It doesn't make you a bad person. But if you try to recognize them and stop it and say, hey, I'm going to change this narrative, that it's been psychologically proven that by doing that, you are genuinely changing and rewriting the pathways of your brain cells to help train yourself and retrain those thoughts into being positive. And that all has to do, the psychology, the brain waves, it's all part of the energy that we put out into the world, which is why I'm so focused on that, and so focused on inward thinking and self-help and self-care and self-love, so that we can love others. And I found through loving others in this way and being so open and so much more complimentary of them, even though it's not something I might do myself, I've been able to allow myself to love me more and allow myself more grace when I want to try something new, or when I want to step out of my box or comfort zone. And it's just a good way to live,
Yeah. I love it. Like, because like you talking about how things, because I'm a big advocate and proponent of things happen for a reason. People come into your life when you need them. They may teach you a good lesson, they may teach you a bad lesson, but they're going to teach you something. But things happen for a reason. And sometimes it, like, when you can sit and you can break it down, of sitting there thinking, I could have missed a post and none of this would have happened.
Mhm.
You know, I could have not taken a job somewhere, and then this whole
Yeah.
could never have happened, because it's with the guys. Happened to get tagged in a post. Shauna, they were looking for a host for, you know, they wanted to add a female to the nerd news. I'm like,
Yeah.
I like nerd stuff. I don't drink beer, but I like nerd stuff. And so it's like, it's almost like things find you, and that seems like everything about your life, Shanna, is things find you because they're meant to be in some reason. And I love that you feel that way. I'm like, God, people
I
think
really do.
that. Because I'm
I
like,
really do. And I think that, you know, I think it's a very symbiotic relationship, idea that things have come to me when I've needed them. And I've been through a lot. And I have to take all of that I've been through, all of the trauma, all of the physical pain, all of the accidents and everything that I've had, and realize that those came into my life when I needed them to. For me, that is the case.
Mhm.
And I didn't always believe that. I went through a
Mhm.
really, really bad car accident that had me rethinking everything. And I really genuinely thought I should have just died. It would have been better for everybody. And
Aw.
I mean, I know, but you go through this and
Mhm.
it's not easy. And I don't want
No.
anybody to look at me and think, oh, it's just so easy for her. It's a constant, every single day, every moment. I have to be reflective and I have to be
Mhm.
aware, because I deal with depression and anxiety and PTSD and CPTSD and ADHD, and I have endometriosis, which is a very painful disease. And
Oh, my sister has that too.
yeah, it sucks.
My
And
heart breaks
so,
for
you
you.
know, oh, well, you know, but you know, I've had it since I was 9, or yeah, since I was 9. And it's just I've dealt with it my whole life, almost 20 years now. And it's very much, it's not an easy thing, but
Mm-mm.
to look at it the way I've learned to look at it, and to look at all of the what I would call bad things or bad people or bad experiences, you know, I can look at those now in reflection and through
Mhm.
all of the work I've done, and say, you know, if those things hadn't happened, I never would have met my partner. If those things
Yep.
hadn't happened, I wouldn't have learned lessons about myself and lessons on empathy. If
Mhm.
and I won't say that those things made me stronger, but I was somehow able, through all of that, to try desperately to find the good and to find the message and to find the lesson, as you said, because I
Mhm.
think every person and every experience in your life can teach you a lesson. And as long as that's the case, then there's nothing to regret.
Exactly. Yeah. You know, some people they assume that when you have a positive attitude that you look at everything as a
Yeah.
positive experience. It's like, no, you know, having a positive outlook means knowing that, yeah, that sucked, that happened, and I would not wish that on anyone to ever happen to them, but we're going to find something in that moment and make a good, you know, something good come out of it, you know,
Yes.
and not, you know, definitely not downplay, you know, the severity or, you know,
Mhm.
whatever it was. Cause again, you know, bad
Because you
things
have to
happen.
deal with it. And if you don't
Yes.
deal with it, if you just try to use, you know, Pollyanna and try to say, "Oh, it was good, and I didn't have anything bad happen because of it," you know,
Right.
you're selling yourself short, and you're also
Right.
tucking away a very important part of your development.
Right.
And I think that for me, it would have cheapened what happened to me if I hadn't
Mhm.
learned and dealt with the incredible deep darkness that it brought into my life.
Yes.
And through that experience, through those experiences, I was able to deal with other trauma. I was able to recognize that I was doing that, that
Yes.
I was whole, like completely boarding up an entire traumatic part of my life that I thought, oh, I'm over it. I don't need to deal with it because I'm older now. And it was just, you know,
Mhm.
and that wasn't the case. And yeah, it's really about, you know, saying to yourself that you love and respect yourself enough to deal with that, just as much as you love and respect yourself enough to try to find the good, you know? And it's
Exactly.
through dealing with it and through being aware of
Mhm.
what you've been through and really
Yeah.
trying to find a positive outlook on it, or not positive outlook,
Mhm.
but at least a lesson. It's through that
Yes,
you
you
find a
know,
positive outlook, that it comes to you.
exactly.
You're not trying to
Mhm.
force it at that point.
No, no, and, you know, and
Very different.
once you get to that point where you have dissected, taken what you can, good and bad, out of it, that's when you can fully let something go. And then it does not haunt you. It does not come back to you. It
Yeah.
does not, you know, it does not cling to you. You can sit there and you can finally say, you've let the burden go. You've let it, you don't think about it. You don't think about
Yeah.
the event as a whole. You can sit there and say, yeah, you know, this happened. But when you say, yeah, this happened, it doesn't hold the same weight as it
Yeah.
once did, because you had processed it. You had come
Yeah.
to terms with it. You
Absolutely.
dissected everything. And it's such an important thing. And I don't think a lot of people realize that that's the key in healing. Is don't try to brush it off. Don't try to hide it. Don't try to just make it be like you said, the Pollyanna response.
Mm-hmm.
Just take it as a
Sit with
whole.
it.
Yeah.
And I
Take
think
it as
that's
a
something
whole
that's
and
really
dissect.
difficult for a lot of people is there's this, like you said, it's sometimes you've got the cynics who look at people like me who have a positive outlook, or who tend to seem to have a pretty bubbly positive outlook, and they're like, oh, she's not dealing with anything, and she's not, you know, and I get that, I understand that.
Mhm.
But like, or you have the other side of people who want to just do that Pollyanna thing, which I get.
Mhm.
And I think the importance is understanding that to find balance, you have to sit
Mhm.
sometimes in that darkness in the same way that you sit and relish the good and the happy.
Yes.
Because
Mhm.
we have to find that balance within ourselves, that yin and
Yeah.
yang of, you know, masculine and feminine energy and light and dark.
Yes.
And that is what makes us richer people, I think,
Yes.
is to have a more
And you.
well-rounded experience and outlook on life.
Mhm. Yep. And you have those people who that's all they know is the anger. They don't
And
know
yeah,
themselves as an identity without the anger, without the hurt, without the pain. And there's this hesitance to move past, because they don't know how to be anything other than mad and
exactly.
angry. And it's
Because
like,
I
no.
went through that. I went through that after my accident. I was so sad and angry, and I was just so like, why am I here? Why did I come back? Because I did. I died for 11 minutes, and I remember it. And then I came
Oh.
back, and it was pain. And I remember thinking, like, more so than what I went through. And of course, we can get into details if you want, but I went through a really gory, awful accident, and I saw myself torn apart essentially. And
Oh my gosh.
you know, and I almost left my left arm. I almost lost my left arm, and you know, and it was just this really bad experience, and I saw it, but more so than the flashbacks of what I saw and what I experienced and the fear, what got me after the accident was the fact that I had left this world, and I remembered it, and I had already dealt with it when I was gone, and I had said, okay, well, on to the next. And then I wake up in the ambulance and I'm back and I'm in pain. And now, you know, months after it happened, I've got family and friends saying, we miss the old Shanna, we miss the bubbly Shanna, we miss all these things. And I'm like, well, I'm never going to be that same person. And even now that I'm doing better and I'm happy and I'm bubbly and again, and I'm energetic again, I'm still never going to be the same person I was
No.
before that accident, because I've learned a lot.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you know, I've been there. I've been in I'm so angry. I'm so misunderstood. There's literally nobody I can talk to. I would prefer if I were not living. I've been there, and I know what it is to unfortunately let that take over and feel so incredibly helpless. And it's not your fault. It's not an identity thing. You've been through shit.
Yes,
And
you've literally been through hell and
you've
back,
been through
and
hell
people
and back.
don't understand that you leave a piece of you behind.
You do. But you also gain a new piece of you.
Yes.
You also gain something. And I think that was really difficult for me to say. Like, I had to put part of my old self away and realize that wasn't me anymore. But through a lot of reflection and a lot of working on myself, I determined who I wanted to be. And what parts of my old self do I want to bring back, and what parts do I think should be left there, you know? And now let's mold myself. This is a second chance, I guess. So now
Mhm.
let's just be exactly who I want to be. And that was when I became more open about my witchcraft. That was when I became more, inspired with the business, because it was the same day I had that accident, the same day that we got our business license. So it was
Oh,
all,
wow.
I mean, I was in the hospital for 2 weeks, and I was working. I had it on my arm in a sling. I had a neck brace. I had like 6 fractured vertebrae, a partially collapsed lung, 3 broken ribs, one that had perforated the lung, which is why it was partially collapsed. I had, I still had glass in my hair and blood in my hair.
Oh my gosh.
They had saved my arm, luckily, because it was like a millimeter away from severing the main nerve, which I would have just had to amputate. And I mean, I'm surprised they didn't have to amputate just from the sheer trauma of what happened. It looked like I had been shot with a shotgun blast,
my
like at
gosh.
point blank range. It was awful. And because I fell unconscious at the wheel,
Oh, no.
and it was mid-morning. I had just left 30 minutes before. We don't know what happened. I wasn't tired. I had slept. We don't know what happened. But I lost consciousness at the wheel, and I was careening down the interstate at 80 miles an hour towards stopped traffic. And luckily,
my God.
somebody saw me, and I have a very clear vision of who it was, but I don't know. I don't know if this is just my imagination or if I'm picking up on something. But I see the same woman every single time I hear the horn in my head, and this person saw what was happening and honked their horn in time for me to wake up just to see the back end of the semi. And I don't know what happened. I don't know why I knew, but I jerked the wheel, screaming, jerking the wheel to the right. And whenever I did that, I hit impact on the, like, mainly, I impacted with the back of the trailer, and it swung me over the side of my console, like in the center of the car of the console. And if that hadn't happened, you can actually look at the pictures on my Facebook and stuff, or my Instagram, because you can see. So the top of the car was found 100 yards away.
Oh.
Ooh.
And the corner of the trail, or the 18 wheeler, went through. So I'm over here. It went through my arm and through the back of the chair. And if I hadn't been swung over, it would have gone straight through my chest.
Oh my God.
So it really, when you talk about things happening, and then we'll get into more of that, but like my whole life has been like that, has been these crazy things that have happened that, like, either I shouldn't have made it through, or should never have happened, or people I never should have met, or things like that. And it's just been absolutely crazy. And I was, in the same way, this is the second time that I've cheated death in that way. I was born with 3 holes in my heart. And I had pneumonia and bronchitis and asthma. And so I was born 3/30/93 with 3 holes in my heart, 3 other things wrong with me. I was in the hospital for 3.5 months. And then all of a sudden, because I'm in the hospital, I'm in that little bubble thing, right? They had to use the gloves, and I'm in the bubble. And they were checking on my holes at a regular period. It was in Jacksonville, Florida, so it was a teaching hospital. And one day, the holes are just gone. And they don't know what happened, because that just doesn't usually happen. So they're just gone. So they do more tests, and they bring in more doctors, and days go by, and they're still trying to figure out how. And then they bring in the residents, because now they're just trying to study it and figure out again how. And the doctor who told my mother he was an atheist said, "Listen, I don't know how to explain this. The only word I can." And yeah, so I have no idea. And my family says it was through prayer. And maybe it was. Maybe it was that manifestation. Maybe it was a divine entity. Who knows? But they've always told me, because of that, I was meant to be on this earth, and I was meant to be here now. And I guess that's maybe helped me. There's been most of my life I just haven't believed that was, I have, but I've been depressed. I've been sad. I've been in trauma. I've been through a lot of shit. And it's like, why am I supposed to be here? But as I've gotten older, and especially after the accident, I thought, okay, well, I don't know why I'm supposed to be here, but I do feel like I'm supposed to, in some way, and tell my story. And that's why I'm so open about everything I've been through, and so open about the mental health issues and the physical health issues, and I hope that it can help somebody. I hope it can give somebody hope, or I don't know, but it's just it's a part of who I am, and it's shaped my outlook on life, and it's, you know, I've definitely been through my share, and so I think that I want people to know, like, you can go through hell and back and still be a positive person if you want, or
Yes.
still find the beauty. And that's why that goth culture for me really fits in who I am,
Yeah.
because I wouldn't be who I am without very intimate relationship with death. I've lost a lot of friends at young ages. I've had to deal with death in a lot of ways, in my own death, my friends' deaths, you know, and it's just, I've always been interested in death and the macabre. So it's my way, I think, of coping and finding, again, you have to find the beauty in it. And that's what goth culture is all about.
Yeah. I think when it touches you in that sense, you have no choice. You kind of have to, you don't have a choice. You're like,
you're in survival mode, and it's like, I don't want to just survive, I want to thrive. And how am I going to thrive?
Right, exactly.
Now with all of these experiences.
Right. And it's just, you're just like, well, this is my life now. And
this is the deck this is the hand I was given.
This is my deck.
So
this is my deck of
it?
cards, and now let's work.
What can I do with it? Wow. And I knew that, I don't know, I've always kind of felt like, and I don't mean this to sound, God, I don't know how it sounds, I don't really, but the truth is, like, I've always kind of felt like I was going to help somebody, and not in the doctor sort of way, but like through my story and through talking about things. And again, even more so after the accident, I just feel like maybe that's why I'm here. Maybe that's why.
Right. You don't want to sit there and make it sound like you're of some great grand high importance.
Yeah.
You don't feel that way, but part of you is like, somehow I feel like I'm put on this earth to help people in some
person.
Yeah.
Even if it's like one person in my entire life who might be right on the edge of, you know, self-harm or something terrible, and like, maybe my story can help them. If that one person is the only person I help in my entire life, then
that was my reason.
Worth it. That was my reason. I'm not, absolutely. I don't think it's some grand, you know, I don't want to make that out.
No, I know but I get what you're saying. It's like, like my whole thing is just like, I feel like, I don't know why, but I meet people and like, they're just like, oh yeah, Shauna, when'd you meet her? Yesterday. And it's like, just like, I joke around that's my superpower. I feel like you've always known me your entire life, but it's mainly because I kind of remind you of someone that you knew back in high school or something. So that's how it works.
It's also, though, just being a genuine, like, empathetic person and listening.
It's like, I feel like my lot in life is I bring comfort to people. Like that is what I'm supposed to be, is I am a comfort. And that's why people feel safe around me. It's like, there's like, oh, it's just Shauna. She's just comfort. You know her for life. But it's wonderful. You know, it's nice to be able to sit there and think, you know, it's like, you know, if one person can be helped by my story, you know, your story, then that's one person who took something and made beauty out of it. Yeah. And continued their story. And it's so wonderful. I love this. I'm like, look, we have a new family member.
I love it too. I'm so glad to be here. You guys are great.
This is awesome. I see things like this, is that one person will turn around and share their story with two people. Those two people turn into four, and four into six, and it multiplies.
Yes,
and all the
and that's the part of what we were talking about earlier, about like what you put out, it multiplies and it comes back to you. But even if it's not for your sake of it coming back to you, like, I don't do kind things because I want kind things to be done to me. I do kind things because I genuinely hope to spread it in the world in the way you're talking about. Like that one act of kindness, it multiplies and it shares more. And by doing that, we're making a kinder world. Every random act of kindness in a world that unfortunately doesn't live by kindness. That's rock. That's punk rock, right?
That is punk rock.
Oh, it is.
Yeah,
it is. I'm like, I buy somebody randomly every Wednesday. I call it my free coffee Wednesday. I go get my coffee at the gas station, and I'm like, put an extra coffee, next person, coffee's on me.
Nice. I love
Because there's so much anger and hatred and just nastiness that
nastiness gloms onto people, and it's easy to not realize how much it's affected you.
But all it takes is one tiny little random, like, wait, what the? Somebody bought my, and you change your attitude.
Yep.
Yeah,
it just makes everything. I feel like I want to. So these, because I know you like them.
Oh, I love those.
My Psyche ruins.
Beautiful.
But so they're all like her inspired with her colors.
Oh, and they've got flowers.
Yes, so each one has there's like flowers and sun, moon, stars, nature, everything associated with her and her colors.
Yeah.
And again,
beautiful.
On Etsy.
Always. I love Etsy. I love supporting other creators.
I think it's fantastic. I love it. My friend, because we were talking, and I said jokingly, because I'm more atheist, but I don't like to count anything out.
Yeah.
Like part of me is like, I don't know. I think part of me wants to believe in something, but we were joking, and because she's big into practicing, and she was telling about how Hecate came to her, and I jokingly, and I'm like, and I said, which deity is associated with ants? Because I keep getting these huge congregation of ants in front of my house that you don't understand, they've never been there before.
They're just like
they like, when I say like 3 instances where there was like hordes of ants where it looked like the entire steps were covered.
Oh,
they did not come into the house, because we've had ants in the house, but it's usually that time of the year. This was not that time of the year. Hordes of ants all over, and I'm like, just stay out here and you're fine. And I just had ignored it. And then, I jokingly, I said, I'm like, well, what deity is associated with ants? And she tells me, and I'm like, you wait, that's a thing? I was like, crap.
Yep.
Sorry.
That's great.
Like, there was no ignoring. There was absolutely no ignoring if that was being a sign, because the amount of ants was ridiculous.
That's crazy, though. We had I had a similar experience with nature recently, but I wasn't feeling deity energy. I was feeling more of like just a sign. Because okay, so we live in Florida. We're in Orlando, right? And like right outside our apartment is like a little kind of wooded, sandy area. And a lot of people will take their dogs out there and stuff. And it's a really small little area, but it's there. And randomly, my roommate and I are standing in our kitchen, or I think maybe they called me into their room. I don't remember, but there's a wild turkey. No, but wait.
Oh.
Next day, 2 turkeys.
Oh boy.
The next day, 3 turkeys. And at this point, we're like, this means abundance. Like, something's coming our way. And 2 days after that is when my TikTok blew up.
Oh my God. That's awesome.
And 3 is my number. 3 is my number, right? I saved that.
Yeah.
It's always been my number. It's always
you were born into that number, legit.
I was genuinely born into that number. That number is very, very important in my life. And so the 3rd turkey, I was like, this is meant for me. In my head, I was like, this is for me. And like, genuinely, like the next 2 days later, after that 3rd one, is when my TikTok blew up. And I think, honestly, I want to say that because I felt that, I don't know, maybe that's what led me to deciding it was time to talk about my lineage. Because again, that was something I didn't want to talk about before, because when we started the business in 2018, I had family and people who, like, there were people in my life who knew about that, even though I don't talk about it a lot. Usually the only people who knew at that point was like, if they maybe were like, oh, your last name's Stoker, like Bram Stoker. And I'm like, yeah, like Bram Stoker.
Actually,
like, what? Yeah, and
Why do
that's
you say
so
that?
it wasn't really something I like talked about
Mhm.
because there's people who've known me my whole life who just
Yeah.
recently are like, "How did I not know this?" And I'm like, "'Cause I
Right.
didn't talk
I mean,
about
that
it."
has to be like a big thing where it's just like you want to be proud of it, but you also don't want people to
I don't
only
wanna
like
use
you
it.
for that.
Yes.
You
Yeah,
don't want
correct.
people to
Yeah.
assume
Yeah.
that that's how you came about the things in your life. It's like, oh,
Well, and that's
you're just
yeah,
riding the
like
coattails of your lineage kind of a thing.
yes, very much. And that was the whole thing for me was, I knew that I'm very proud of it, and it's something that has helped me understand myself better in the long run. Because I found out when I was, like, in 2nd grade about how the significance of it was, but at that point, I
Yeah.
was always already very well versed in the fact that I am weird and creepy and different. I'm just very good at masking it, but, like, adults in my life were telling me how weird and creepy and different my interests were, so, like, I was already aware, and I was writing a horror story at the time because I was in 2nd grade, and I was interested, of course, I've
Like,
always been interested in
I
history,
would love
and
to have
there
been the fly on the wall when somebody said that. It's like, it's like, oh, by the way.
yeah, well, and the thing is, like, I mean, I heard his name before, but I didn't understand. I was in
Mhm,
2nd grade when I really
mhm,
started to understand because, I was reading I had this, like, history I would go into the library and they had, like, a book on haunted history or something, and I read an excerpt about the fact that, like, the Black Plague was supposedly the inspiration for Ring Around the Rosie, and so
mhm.
I was, like, obsessed. It was, like, my anecdote
Yeah.
that I told everybody. I was like, "Hey, by the way, here's just something creepy." Ring Around the Rosie, and,
That's
like,
like
I'm 7, and I'm
that
like,
was like
Ring Around the
me
Rosie
and the Grimm fairy tales. Like,
for 6, 8, yeah.
oh,
Yeah, I loved those. I
you
actually
want to
wrote a
know?
paper in 7th grade on the Grimm brothers.
It's like, want to know a weird thing about Cinderella?
Yeah, right?
Ha ha
They
ha.
actually cut off her toes and her heel, and there was
Yeah,
blood trickling, and then birds,
yeah.
like, ate
Pecked
her
out the
eyeball.
mother's
Yeah,
eyes.
it was great.
And Snow White, she tried to kill her 3 times, not just once.
And then, Snow White's stepmother had to dance in hot coal, or
Coals,
heated,
shoes.
iron shoes until she
Yep.
fell down dead.
Mm-hmm.
Good times. Yeah,
Yes!
no, that was me. That was 100% me.
I
So
love you.
me too, I love you. This is great.
I was
So
like,
I
no
was,
one
like,
else gets to
inspired,
love the gore of
right?
those scary tales.
I loved them. I loved them. So I got inspired. I started writing my own story about a little girl like myself. I don't know anything about it. I can't remember, but I was on chapter 3 when my grandparents were like, "You're you're walking in the family footsteps," and I'm like, "What?" And then they tell me everything. We watched a couple of, like, different Dracula films, and that was when I kind of realized it was more significant. And for me, as a little kid who was already, I was like 8 at this point, I think, who was already questioning, why do I think about dark stuff all the time? Like, I'm a happy kid, but
Mhm.
why am and I
Yeah.
didn't think about it until adults were like, "Why do you think about dark stuff all the time?" And I was like, "I don't know, because I like it." There was
Yeah.
one time I was
'Cause it's
reading in class.
fascinating.
I had, like, free reading time or something, and I had just gotten the Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark book, and I remember I was reading it, and my teacher took it from me and, like, called my parents because they were concerned. And anyway, and I'm like, it's cool. Um,
Yes. It's like,
and it
it's
just it
good.
well, and the thing is, like, somebody recently in another podcast was like, "So you were like Wednesday Addams," and I'm like, "No, I loved people. I was very personable and bubbly,
Yes.
and
Mhm.
I've always been this kid, but it was just I also really liked weird stuff, and so yeah. Anyway, and so, like, basically when that happened, it helped me say, "I'm not strange. I might be strange to them, but I'm who I'm
Mhm.
supposed to be." Like, there's a
Exactly.
reason I like these things already, and I have an inclination
Mhm.
towards these things, not because
Yes.
somebody tells me I should or somebody influenced that, but
Mhm.
because I don't know why, but it's who I
Yeah.
am, and now I feel like it's part of my family. So, it gave me a better sense of identity and a better, I think it helped me feel like I don't have to feel like this is a bad part of myself. I
Mhm.
can embrace it and
Yeah.
find the beauty in it, right?
Mhm.
The goth thing
Exactly.
again.
Ex
And yeah, so
Yeah.
it's really cool. Whenever the business started in 2018, I knew I didn't feel right about talking about it like that, but I couldn't figure out why. And it was very much because even though I'm proud of it, I wanted to make sure our business could stand on its own 2 feet first. And that our designs, our customer service, our quality of the actual content we're creating, that it could bring in the audience and keep the audience. And then once I knew we could, which at 3 years, you know, when I finally decided to talk about it, we'd already been full-time for a year, insurance for a year. Like we've got 2 decks on the market, that kind of thing. It's just, I knew I could finally do it and not feel like I was being, like riding on coattails, like you said, or Uncle Buck said. So, yeah.
No, that's, cause I was thinking about that. Cause I was like, I was very torn when he first told me. Cause like, first off, you know, I'm like, classic literature, me was like, and then I'm like, no. She does her own thing. She is amazing on her own right. Don't bombard her with that.
I mean, I'm happy. I like talking about it in those ways. I just, after we establish that's not the reason, then we're like, okay,
it's like, right. It's like, so it's like, that's where my mind was going. I was pretty much just like, she probably has gotten both sides of that coin, you know, in their ugliest, where the people who only want to associate because of who she's related to, and then the people who think that she's only where she's at. And I'm like, that's definitely like a bittersweet pill when something like that should be celebrated. You know, it's like your family is your heritage and your history and your lineage. And
we didn't choose it, you know, we didn't.
Right, exactly. It's like, because trust me, if I could choose, it's like, trust me, if I could choose, I probably would say I would want to be related to the Grimm brothers, because
they're great.
Watch somehow I trace her and I'm like, oh crap, I guess I am. And I'd be like, yes, there's a reason I'm like this.
I love it though. I mean, I think it's good. And it is, you know, and there's always going to be people, regardless of what you do, who you are and how you are. There's always going to be people who decide they don't like you or decide they don't support you. That's okay. That's
exactly
okay. Because we don't like everyone. We don't support everyone. I try to be as kind and supportive and to be as open as I can to people, but like, that's just not the truth of reality. So reality, like, that's okay. That is okay. You don't have to like me or support me. I just don't be a jerk. Yeah, I would appreciate that.
It's just like, you know, if you don't like me, that's fine, but just keep that, you know, nastiness to yourself and just move along.
But honestly, though, the truth is, I mean, I've been really genuinely. I've not really dealt with a lot of that, like clout chasers or anything. Like, I don't have clout. I mean, you know what I mean? I don't think of myself like that. I'm like, you want to be friends? Cool, let's be friends. And I genuinely think that, you know, even the people that might have only ever found me or been interested in me because of my name, that's not the reason they're going to remember me.
Yes.
That's not, you know, and that's my goal.
They came for the name. They stayed for everything else.
And that's my goal is, you know, I don't care why you're here. But if you're interested and you have questions for me, then like let's get to know each other.
I'm actually interested in the tarot reading, to be completely honest, because I've always wanted to have a proper tarot reading. But
we should do that one day. That'd be great.
I would love that.
Contact me. We'll set something up, like a personal call, and we can do a tarot reading.
Yes, totally. That would be.
I usually don't do. I try not to do tarot readings unless it's people I know, and you know, because I don't want to do it professionally right now. I've got so much going on. And even though I love tarot, like recently I had another voice acting opportunity come up and I was like, ooh, and then immediately I could hear that voice in my mind saying, not right now. This isn't, you know, right now, because with the metal band with Dracora, it was immediately like, now's the time. This is the train you want to jump on. And even though I know I can do voice acting and I know that would be a really cool opportunity, I knew in my head, in my mind, I had this voice saying, that's not the time right now. And the opportunity was there. But it was just, I feel very confident with my intuition saying that and knowing and being able to tell me, you know, where my stopping point is and what to focus on in this time in my life. And so that's very much how I feel about that. Yeah.
And you know, it's because I just come back from a convention in Maine and listening to a lot of the voice actors say about how sometimes how rough a gig can be on your throat and your vocal cords. cords. It's like, maybe that was your saying, is like, no, this is going to wreck your vocal cords and you got to sing. So I'm like, oh, yeah, your intuition may have been right, because they were saying that they've gone to some things where it's like, they said it was the most brutal audition / gig they'd ever had in their life, and they said they were almost angry that they were like, you almost ruined my voice.
And that's the thing when I said earlier about, opportunities will come your way and it's beautiful and wonderful, especially when you see them really coming. But you also have to recognize, and this has taken me a lot of time to realize, you have to recognize that just because you're getting good opportunities that look great doesn't mean that they're all going to be right for you in this time in your life. And like, I think that's good to remember, because you do have the ability to curate your life in that way,
Yeah.
and to choose which path you're going to go down. And like, I also am part of an online, it's an online musical. It's called Off the Beaten Path musical, which is based on D&D and Pathfinder. It's really cool. And so I've just been added to that. Oh yeah, huge. Yeah, it's amazing. And so like, and the thing is, when that opportunity came around, which I joined the cast in August. It was right. He messaged me because he also the creator of that messaged me because he saw the Sally song video, and I made that in 2017. So it's just so weird,
Yes, like, right? Like, can we need to like do that, put that on there, because
it's just crazy. And he saw that too, because I was trying to put content up, and that's me.
Sorry, I didn't mean for it to interrupt. It always does that when you add something. I don't know what's gonna happen. YouTube might flag us like always, but
oh well, it'll be fine.
Wait, no, but it's a YouTube. We're showing a YouTube video of a YouTube video.
Yeah, the YouTube videos of YouTube videos normally get us in trouble. Or get me in trouble. But we have the artist.
We're the bad kids. We're just like, oh, what's the worst that can happen? We don't start on time. We're usually really drunk.
Not for permission.
Exactly.
Yes, it's easier to ask for forgiveness than permission.
Wow, I got a long list.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I'm shocked that YouTube hasn't like booted us for some. It's like, you know what, y'all need to stop.
Yeah, but I figured I'd get this and bring it up so that everybody can hear it. I'll just play like a quick clip of it, so that they don't flag us.
I sense there's something in the wind that feels like tragedies at hand, and though I'd like to stand by here, can't shake this feeling that I have. The worst is just around the bend, and does he notice my feelings for him? And will he see how much he means to me? I think it's not to be. What will become of my dear friend?
Awesome.
Are you as excited about the prequel?
Yes.
Is that really happening?
I thought it was like a book.
Okay.
It's supposed to be a book, but it's supposed to be like a prequel kind of thing, or a sequel based on from Sally's perspective. Yeah.
Oh,
yes, it's all through Sally's perspective.
Well, I am excited about that because I love Sally.
I
love her. And you know what? Actually, after my accident, because I have
oh my God, tell me you're just stitched.
Well, I'm very like, you can actually see, I don't know if you want to see it, but you can see like
my
scarring. I don't know. Do you want to see it?
Go ahead. Don't worry.
I would. I'm fascinated by these things. So oh my gosh.
Like if you look, first
off, you're like jacked. Holy
No, I'm
crap.
not. I'm really not. I'm just it's because of the scarring and so much tissue was left. So it looks like I'm jacked, but I'm not. Because like I'm
You
I'm
have
a plus
Sally
size
arms.
lady, but I have solid, yeah, because it went through like it goes all the way back here and then
Oh my
um
gosh.
yeah, so it kind of and it went under here. So
Why do I feel
it
like you should be tattooed, like get like a
I'm
tattoo,
planning on
kind
it.
of like
That's
with
I want like
Sally,
a whole
like
I want a
Sally
whole thing.
arm there would be
Please.
perfect.
I really kind of want to
Did
do
you
like
call me a
Sally
weeb?
arm with florals. But yeah,
Oh
I'm
my
nervous
gosh,
about
I
it because
love
a
it.
lot of my feeling is gone, but I think that might be good. But you can see
Oh
like
yeah.
if you look
Oh
closely,
my
it
gosh,
still
yeah.
has like the lines from the staples
Mhm.
and from the stitching, and this was like an
Oh my
open wound
gosh.
for like 8 months, I think,
Oh my
and
gosh.
just all that, and then I've got scarring you can't really see, but it's on my neck
Mm.
and I'm just yeah, but it's not nearly as bad as it could have been. And but after I finally saw the scar and it was really I don't know. It didn't really bother me as much as I thought it would.
Mhm.
You know, it's misshapen and it's whatever because like
Mhm.
my other arm it just looks like a normal arm. But I remember thinking like, oh, I can totally make this Sally now. Like I'm gonna do. But I like the idea.
See?
I really I was already planning
This
on
is this.
doing maybe like making it a vine, but I like the idea of doing like Sally scars and then bringing in florals and yeah,
That
I
would
really
be,
want
yeah, that would
I want like
gorgeous.
a full sleeve on this arm just because of that. But like I also want to sell I don't want to just cover it up. I want to like remember it. I want to make it
Yes.
beautiful again. You know, I want to make it
Mhm.
beautiful in that way. And I
Yes.
like the idea of turning that into art. So
I see sugar skulls coming out of marigolds.
oh, that's interesting.
Ooh.
I get a little nervous though. Not nervous, but like I don't really I don't know, sugar skulls I think because
Yeah.
I'm just I associate them so much with I mean they're like the Mexican culture and I'm not
Right, Day of the
Mexican.
Dead.
Day of the Dead, Dia de los Muertos. And I try, I've done makeup with that kind of stuff before, but like upon further reflection, I'm like,
Yeah, that's right.
maybe
Yeah,
that's
I
not
saw
my
that
thing.
video. Yes, I saw that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I like to think a lot of times because me and my friends, we had talked about this, in regards to appreciation versus appropriation.
Yes.
And I think that when something is done in reverence, in saying your respect, then it's appreciation.
Yes.
As long as you don't go coming out saying it's like, yeah,
And you don't know.
I created these sugar skulls. This is my thing. I did
Yes.
this. And it's like, no. But if you say, this symbolism holds something to me. Because I'm a big fan of Ray Bradbury's The Halloween Tree.
Mm-hmm.
I found that the book and the movie is, granted it was like the cheesiest, hokiest, Leonard Nimoy as that creepy guy was just like, but
talking about
you're right. But I find great reverence in culture's beliefs because of that.
Mm-hmm.
Because
yeah.
I love hearing about it. I love just like hearing what they hold true to them. Like the movie Coco, I felt was brilliant. It
Really
was
good.
absolutely
one of my favorites. So good.
Yes. And I loved, I think that it's when you appreciate the symbolism and the journey and the meaning, then it really truly is appreciation and not appropriation.
I agree. And I do think for me personally, because I agree with that, and I'm not going to say that the way I think is absolutely right. This is just in my personal feelings and my experience. For me, I can appreciate sugar skulls and I really do appreciate it, but I try to appreciate it without like, for me, it feels like appropriation for me to think of like putting something that is so culturally important that isn't part of my
on
culture
your body.
and then like on my body as like this is a part of now of my this is becoming literally a part of my identity and it's like that's not my identity and I don't want to take away from people whose identity it really is.
I can so that's I like can totally
yeah, I get what you're saying and I agree with what you're saying for sure. And I think like
I see yours as well. Yeah. No. I totally can see yours as well. Is there's because let's face it, as white people, we're the butt of the jokes when it comes to tattoos and getting like,
And getting, like,
Japanese,
yes.
artwork and stuff. And they're like,
Why did you choose that?
you got the word hiccup tattooed on you. And I was
Yeah.
like, he told me it meant happy.
Well, and it's like, why was it significant to you to get it in Japanese? Why was it significant to you to, to get something that you didn't even fully understand on your, and that is not a judgment. That's not a judgment. That's just a genuine question. Like,
no. I
that's
completely
because I
understand
think about
that.
these questions like, okay, I really like this, but like, why, let's, like we talked about it, let's unpack that. Let's try to let's unpack it, right?
I think that a lot of times that people, they'll jump and they'll do research. The research isn't as thorough as they think because they're just so caught up in the moment and so caught up in the desire to do the thing that they maybe don't slow down. Because I do, I don't want to say that I regret it, but I do have I have a symbol for happiness. I did do research, but I did want it because I feel like having it, on the back of my neck, it's like, I always have happiness.
Yeah.
No matter what, I always have happiness.
And you have an appreciation for Japanese culture, right? An appreciation for, like, I'm assuming anime and things like that. And the thing is, it also depends on the culture you're speaking of. Because in my experience, I used to teach English as a second language to Chinese children. And I have friends who, at Auburn, who were from Japan and China. And I've worked a lot with them. And in my experience with the people that I have met who are from more Asiatic cultures, they tend to be a lot more. Oh, and I was a part of an Indian music ensemble at Auburn as well, and so I got to work directly with lots of people who'd come there for their doctoral program from India, and my professor was from India, and it was beautiful and wonderful, and I got to really appreciate their culture and notice and learn the difference from them when they say, we appreciate you wearing a sari to Diwali. We appreciate you wearing, I'm giving you this bindi because I think that you have earned it and you are showing appreciation. And I, as somebody in this closed, religion or this or culture, am saying, here, I want to dress you in my clothing, or that kind of thing. And that's different. And it was because of we had created a relationship. And I actually had a friend of mine who was she's a beautiful, wonderful dancer and singer within the club, or within the performance, space. And we actually were giving each other voice lessons. I was teaching her more classical styles of Western singing, and she was teaching me more classical styles of Indian singing. And there's so many within the Indian culture.
Oh my gosh,
so many different sub genres and like each
but they're so beautiful
region and language, and it's absolutely. I mean, I love it. I love it.
Stunning.
And I got, and that was for me, like, if you have a genuine appreciation for it, and the culture is open to people from other cultures, which Asian cultures tend to, in my experience, the people I've met from Asia, Asian countries, India, China, Japan, Taiwan, there tend to be a little bit more like, we like seeing people from the West embracing our culture. We like seeing people from the West wearing our clothing, as long as it's in fashion and in good taste, and not a caricature, and not a costume. Like, there's so many subtleties, and there's so many things to think about when it comes to all of that. And it's through experience, and my personal experience as a white person who can't exactly speak on it as anything but an outsider, that's where I've learned kind of that trying to find the distinction. It's tough. It's a tough conversation for a lot of people to have, because you don't want to do the wrong thing, but you also feel like, what's the right thing,
yes, because
I appreciate
when exactly, it's like, but how do I show my love and adoration? Tell me the right ways to do this, please, because I want to so bad.
And not through the guise of like some, necessarily like just overly white guilt or anything, like but more so of like, I understand where my ancestors played a part, and I understand where your ancestors were, and are
And yeah.
continuously being
Mhm.
put through the ringer. And like,
Yes.
so now I want to learn, and now I want to do
Right.
better. And this is
It-
how we change the cycle.
Yeah.
That right there, that's the big thing. Like, people always sit there and just like, well, it's like, look, just because you've worked at an office for 20 years doesn't mean you were a good employee. It just means you were there for 20 years.
Yeah.
So just because this is how things have been for the past 4 or 5 decades doesn't mean it's the right way. It
Nope.
just means this is how it's been. This is what the cultural norm has been, but we can do better. And
Yeah.
we need to
And
learn
Yes.
and become better
When you know
for
better,
the
you
sake
do
of each
better.
other. Exactly.
Yeah. And I mean,
I love
like-
this.
like with my name, Uncle Black. So here's the explanation, because I don't ever, when we were emailing you, it never came. Hi, this is Uncle Black. Uncle Black is something that in my family, we're Cuban. It's a term of endearment. My grandmother was Tia Negra, which means Auntie Black. Her brother was Tio Negro. So it's like the generational thing. They've both passed on. And one day my little niece was here, grandniece, and she innocently, she goes, I'm brown and you're black. And I'm just like, it was the funniest thing because I thought it was so sweet. And she meant it caringly. And I'm like, and you know what? You can call me Uncle Black from now on. She gave me the recognition of something that held true in my family and my culture for years on end. And we hadn't had one in a while. And so since then, it's just easier to just call myself Uncle Black. But what's funny about that is not more than like 2 weeks ago, someone reached out to me on Facebook, and I get different cousins from all over the world, and you know, it's just odd. And I was like, okay, you added me as a friend on Facebook, Kino. Okay, I recognize the last name. Must be in Cuba. Okay,
Yep.
I'll add you. And then he sends my wife a message, and then he sends me one later on. And he doesn't identify himself, but then he's telling me stuff that I'm like, oh my god, was your dad Dio Negro? He goes, yes. I was like, oh my god, that was
Oh,
my
wow.
grandmother's
Oh,
brother, and
the
I only
original.
met him. Yeah. So he's the son of the original Uncle Black.
Wow.
And
That's
it
so
was
cool.
and I was just like, oh my god, oh my god. He now lives in Ecuador, and the power of the internet, and it's just like one of those things. It's just like,
I love it.
but that for me, just to get back to it, is that's why I carry that name.
Yeah.
It's hard to explain to people, like, yeah. I call
Yes,
myself
because
Uncle Black,
let's
people
face
get
it. I was
uncomfortable.
right for a hot minute when with that first meeting of you, and that's what you said. I was like, oh, I can't call him that. I'm the only way. I was like the only worker in the room. I'm like, I can't call you that. Can I call you E, please?
So and you still do, but it's one of those
I do
things
still
of
call you E.
I don't care, and it's one of
Well,
those
because
things of
you've established that it's a term of endearment. You
Yeah.
have said you can call me this, and that's
Mhm.
for me. Like, that's for me where I'm like, okay, then that's your choice, and you have stated this is who you are, and like that's what I'm gonna call you. And
Yeah.
I get what you're saying too, though, Shauna. Like, you get this kind of fear of like, I really don't want to offend. They said I could say it, but I don't know.
I know.
whatever,
I was like, but do you really
I get
mean
that.
it?
because it's one of those, the fear of now with cancel culture of
Yeah.
it just someone's going to catch it at the wrong moment, not get a full
Mhm.
understanding,
And not
be
take
like,
any of the context.
Yes, exactly. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like there's a fine line. I think that cancel culture is very toxic because a lot of times they're canceling things to make a point, not so much to try to be better.
Like a
There's-
sacrificial lamb almost. And I don't mean to say that. I don't mean to say that in a way like this isn't
In a
left or right
positive
or
way.
anything. It's just
Right.
it's the truth of the matter, unfortunately. And I think it's a very reactionary
Mhm.
and judgmental way to
Yes.
live. And it reminds me of McCarthyism.
yes,
Mhm.
Bringing in my history degree, but it reminds me of McCarthyism. And the only thing that came out of that was complete chaos and people who were afraid to live, afraid to potentially do anything that might
offends
make
somebody.
them, well, that might make them seem, you know, McCarthyism was for
Mhm.
communism, and that might make them seem like a communist. And now it is, I don't want to offend anyone, so like, and
Mhm.
here's my thing again, I don't want to offend anyone. I
Right.
genuinely want to be a person who isn't offending people, but
Mhm.
I think that there's just a lot that like you're taking out of context or finding somebody's tweets from 12 years ago. Like how much have
Yes.
we all
Yeah.
changed from 12
Yes.
years ago? And
Yes.
also how much has culture and the social norm of what you can say, and not what you can say, but like what we have deemed appropriate.
Yes.
We used to use the
Right.
R word to talk about people who had
Yes.
mental
Yes.
disabilities, and
Right.
it wasn't a slur.
Right.
Eventually
But
it turned
now
into
it
a slur.
is.
Now it is.
And
like,
now we're
you
like,
used to not
no,
be able to
let's not
say
do it.
you used to, I studied a lot of the civil rights movement and all of that, and like
Mhm.
you used to not be able to use the term black. You couldn't say black. You
Mhm.
had like it, that was a slur.
Yes.
And then because of the civil rights movement, because people were taking back these terms, you know,
Mhm.
that's whenever it became more appropriate, and or it became used within the community,
Yeah.
Yes.
right?
It was
To
more socially
call
accepted.
yourself black. And now
Mhm.
exactly, to call yourself black, and then that that changed the narrative of it. And now you've got
Mhm.
you know, there's this conversation, I'm sure Uncle Black, you could talk about this with me, but there's this conversation of like, okay, some people want to be called African American, some want to be called black. Like I personally, in my experience, my black friends just want to be called black.
Wow.
And so
Mhm.
you know what I mean, and that's what they've told me.
Mhm.
Because they, you know, now it seems like, okay, if they say African American, it's like saying black, you know. It's like you're trying to like,
Yes.
you know,
Yes.
and it's just it's
Mhm.
weird. I'm white, you're black, like, you know,
Yes.
there's nothing negative about it.
No.
There
Right.
shouldn't be a stigma.
No, they
Yes.
shouldn't. No, they shouldn't.
I
Go, Sean.
oh no, go. No, you go.
I was going to say within the Hispanic community, and how I say Hispanic, some people say Latino. There's no
Well,
Latinx,
Mhm.
yeah.
and it's just like one of those things of newer generation wants to be referred as Latinx. The older
Yeah.
generation, you're either Hispanic, Spanish, or Latino. And the way I learned is Latino means you came from one of the countries that spoke. You're a descendant of someone that came from a country that spoke the Romance languages, which was France, Italy, Spain, Portugal.
Mhm.
There were 6 of them, and I can't remember the other 2. But anyway, it's one of those things of
Italy.
Italy, yeah. So if you have a descendant that came from that country, that makes you Latin.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, yeah. So I'm
Mhm.
Latin. I'm also Hispanic. Why? Because I was born here, but my family descends from an actual Spanish country.
Mhm.
But the term Spanish only is held for Spain.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
And it's all about terminology.
yeah,
Right?
yeah,
Yes.
and so it's one
But
of
like
those
every
things that
generation,
changes.
like you
Yes.
said, every generation is going to have their version of it. But like my whole
Mhm.
thing is, you have to understand the historical context of what came before you.
Yes.
And you
Mhm.
have
Yes.
to allow some semblance of leeway there. Now, I'm not
Yes.
saying that because whenever
Not saying
my
it was right.
grandparents were in Mobile, Alabama in the 60s, that saying the N word was okay and normal. Now, I'm not saying that means that they can say it now without me saying,
Right.
hey, let's
Yeah.
not do that.
Exactly.
What I'm saying though is to understand like when some terms aren't meant with malice. And there's this I think it's I can't remember, but it's something's razor that says
Oh,
don't,
Akram.
not Occam. It's not Occam's razor. It's a
Oh.
different one. It's like
Oh.
Hannon's razor or something like that, because I know that one too. But this one is specifically saying don't assume malice when ignorance is the most likely answer.
Oh.
And that's my thing.
Oh.
And that has given me a much more, because I am a political person, and that's given me a much more kind way to look at things and look at people when I
Yeah.
disagree with them. Is
Mhm.
I've stopped assuming malice, or I still do sometimes. We
Mhm.
all have these things. Like it's part of
Mhm.
that political discourse that we live in.
Mhm.
But I try so very much to not assume malice and to first assume ignorance. And then I'm going to try to, let's have a good actual conversation about this.
Mhm.
Let's try to like figure out where that ignorance is, and now how can we
Mhm.
combat that? Because I know in my personal experience, it was ignorance whenever I was
Yes.
conditioned to have potentially like maybe a racist thought, maybe a
Yes.
thought against
It's
women,
how,
maybe a thought
yeah, it
against
was how
like a
you were growing
patriarchal
up.
thought, because that's where I
Mhm.
grew up, right? I grew up in South
Mhm.
Alabama, and yeah, and my father was or my grandfather was a sheriff in the 60s. Yeah, I grew up with that kind of background. And so but again, the same way that I would stop myself when I would look at a woman who's maybe dressing in a way that I thought that I would have been told was like a hoe,
Mhm.
and started saying, hey, no, 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 like, let's think about this. Take all of that out of it. Look at this person and tell me what you see. And like, when I started doing that too, when I was having thoughts that might have seemed racist, or that might have, or that were fundamentally
Mhm.
because of how I grew up. Like, even
Mhm.
though I didn't grow, I grew up, my first crush was on a little black boy, and my mother told me, and this is, I don't mean to
Mhm.
sound bad, but my mother told me that you can't do that. And I remember thinking, he's my friend and he's great and he's cute. Why can't I do that? Like, I
Mhm.
remember, so I've always been aware that it was
Mhm.
wrong, but it was still, I grew up in an area that it was like, why am I locking my, do I lock my doors when that black man's next to me? Do I also lock my doors when that white man's next to me? And I did, but I was very
Yes.
conscious of that. I was like, do I? Am
Yes.
I? And that kind of thing. And I'm trying to like, but you have to retrain yourself, and you have to be aware,
Mhm.
like, to say, okay, I feel shame for these thoughts, but now let's change them. And let's realize that this
Yes.
is because I was conditioned, and because I grew up in an area with people who
Yes.
thought this way and taught this way. And now I am going to change the cycle because I realize that's wrong. And I'm going to, and
Yes.
I've spent years talking with my black friends and asking for their, reading books and literature, taking classes on civil rights movement, and trying my best, and feminism, and learning
Mhm.
where the patriarchy and where the white supremacy has very much shaped who we are, and who it shaped who I was. And it's like, okay, now let's fix that. Now let's
Mhm.
do better, because
Yes.
when you know better, you do better,
Yeah.
right?
Exactly.
That's the
I
thing. That's my whole thing.
people sit there and they're just like, oh, well, he said this. It's like, yes, you're right. He did say that. But what has he done since?
Ex-
So you
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. What has he
things like
learned since? Look at
my,
Robert Downey Jr. If we can let
Thank you.
him
thank you.
come back and be Iron Man, and
Thank
be
you.
the Marvel that we,
The
Toby that we
epitome
love,
of wholesomeness. Yes.
Yes.
if we can,
Like,
then that should be right
right.
there, an
Like,
indignation of cancel culture.
yes.
Teach, don't cancel.
Yes.
Teach, allow room
Exactly.
for growth.
But know
Well,
when
that's
it is
very,
okay. Like
yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Michael
yeah,
Vick. He
yes.
he is my biggest, my biggest thing, because
Oh,
it's like, you look at Michael Vick. He went to jail, but what
Yeah.
has he done since? What has he done to show that he has grown as a person? Because you don't hear boo about him giving to animal charities, doing anything good to better the world since he still plays the victim. So
Yeah.
no, him, he is not ignorance. He is malice.
Yeah.
But then you have people who, like we talked about Kobe Bryant, because there were people who were happy with his passing, and it's like, no, you don't celebrate death. You can find comfort and solace when somebody bad passes, but you don't celebrate death. And for him, he had an accusation, but what did he do afterwards? He could have let that change him. He could have let that make him bitter and mean, but no, he turned around and he spoke out about women's rights. He opened up saying, how he wanted a better life and a better world for his daughters, wanting to make his daughters safe. He taught, he was active. That is what you look at. What do people do after? Do they show change, betterment? Dr. Seuss, yes. Dr. Seuss actually was kind of I found out some stuff about him.
Yeah.
He was
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
nice man. So yes, we can love his body of work, but maybe some of his older stuff was it was okay at the time, but not so much now. And maybe it
Just
just
doesn't age well.
Well, and
no.
let's talk about Song of the South.
Oh my God! I knew. Why did I not?
Let's talk about
that is like
Splash Mountain.
Disney's. That's Disney's dirty little secret.
I grew up on that film, y'all.
Yes,
I grew up
Yeah.
on that film.
Brer Rabbit and the
loved it.
Tar Baby.
But
And you
my
didn't think
thing
anything
is,
of it until you're like,
when you get older. But that's the thing.
no.
While we need to, while we while my history degree says I understand historical context, yeah, we should understand historical context, but there's a time when it's no longer appropriate to watch in the same way. The disclaimer that they put on it was important. Yes. And I think personally, the idea of, I think it's poetic and beautiful that they're changing Splash Mountain, which is based on that movie, into Tiana's Ride. And now,
I love that.
We get to take that. It's poetic. It's beautiful. And I think
it is.
And she deserves it. She's my
yes.
She's like my partner. His favorite.
I would love to see a better.
I love her.
I would love to see another, like, you know how like a lot of the Disney princesses get like a second movie that's like Ariel and all those. I would love to see her get a second movie only because I feel like she deserved more than being a frog 3/4 of her movie.
Yeah.
Yes. And I would love to see her restaurant. I'd love to see what she does. Like, I want to see like
I want those damn beignets.
Also Tiana would she's got her restaurant and now she is building up her community. She is hiring people from that neighborhood she made gumbo for. She is, she's creating after school programs for the kids. Like
that chef who gave her the side eye. His business now is kind of going a little under because her business is a little bit booming. She's like, you know what? Why don't you come work for me? Because I know you can cook and I know you got the chops. Why don't you come work with me?
Right.
That way you don't have to struggle. Because I know she wouldn't. She wouldn't give that.
Birthday cake. Listen.
Now you're giving Disney ideas.
I love her.
We always give everybody ideas.
I'm thinking this is a book. This is
you know what?
We have the voice actress.
I just love her.
Yes, I think
she's amazing.
I think that was the greatest, the best way that they could have turned that whole story.
I mean, perfect. Also, another idea for Disney that I've been thinking about. I'm just gonna put this out there because I need it to happen.
It's okay. We always
cares about Tom Sawyer Island anymore.
No,
turn that into Mama Odie's swamp.
Oh,
fireflies leading you down there from Splash Mountain because it's right across the the way, and then you've got wait for it. Then the boat, the river cruise boat. Yeah. that should be a little jazz dinner, jazz dessert with Louis playing the trumpet with the jazz band, and you got, what I mean, and you got like a little dessert cruise where Mama Odie's over here with these fireflies, and then you got Splash Mountain.
She better have that chili,
and gumbo.
Jambalaya.
Gumbo. Excuse me, sorry.
Yes, and that was her daddy's gumbo. Yes, and so that's what I'm saying. Like,
no. What did Mama Odie had in her bathtub?
It was gumbo.
It was that's the stuff that they should be saying.
Just a couple things of hot sauce, and that's all you need. Like, oh my god, I love her so much. I saw her maybe 7 times in theaters, and that's my partner's favorite princess. That's one of my roommate's favorite princess. We love Tiana in this house. Okay.
Nice. All right. So
I'm just excited about all the food because I love food. So I'm like, anytime people get excited about food, I'm like, yes. Like, I want to go to Louisiana, and people are like, oh, do you want to go for? It's like, I want to go for the spooky stuff. Yes. There's like, oh, you want to go for the drinking? I want to go for the food. Okay. I want to go for the food. I just want to eat all day.
I can't because they got a lot of crawfish and shellfish, and that'll just kill me. But I want to.
No, we don't want to kill you.
See, I don't eat seafood. I'm literally from Mobile Bay and like Gulf Shores area, the Gulf of Mexico, and I don't eat seafood. So, like, at all, I hate seafood.
Wow.
I love seafood. I don't like. It was funny because I joke around this like I'm a cheap date. I don't like roses and I don't like lobster. But I'm like, I love seafood. I love it so much. So I'm like, oh. I had paella the one night.
So I'm really digging some of the merch that you got.
Yes.
Oh
can we show some of? Can we throw some merch up so we can look at it? So I can like drool because I sat there and I'm like, great, there goes my paycheck.
Oh, thank you.
I'll bring it up. I was originally gonna add it post, but I could bring it up now.
Yeah, let's bring it up now so we can talk about it. I love your backdrop, by the way, like the books. Love it.
Oh, thank you. I bought this whenever I was teaching English as a second language to kids in China. So this is where I would film, or where I would.
Nice. I love it.
Teach.
I love how everything's broken down witchy, spooky.
Thank you.
Like those are my kind of
And then we
headers
have
right
like our
there.
tarot, right? Witchy, spooky, and tarot, but it's all kind of intermingled depending on what you're looking for.
Yeah,
Like I was
I just
digging the Freya. That is like totally awesome.
And we actually have another version, an updated version for our deck right there at the bottom. It looks like snowy. She looks left. Yeah, 2 over. Sorry, 1 more to the right. Right there. That's Freya.
No, your other left.
Yeah, sorry. I went.
No, it's okay.
I'm left than I needed.
Oh my god.
It's okay. I still have to do this every now and then for my left and right.
Oh my god. I know someone to get. Oh, you see, it doesn't. When I click on it, it doesn't show up on my other screen. It doesn't show
Okay.
up.
Boo.
But I will throw it in there. You see the magic of editing.
Yeah, right.
Right.
Magic of post. I love it.
There were these. I was like, oh my god.
The Krampus and the children running away in terror. I love that one.
Oh my god, I love Krampus. Oh no, you don't even know. I absolutely. What did I think I posted? Just like everybody wants to bring Christmas back to traditionalism, but the second you start flogging children and throwing them into sacks, they look at you.
Yes, I love. Have you ever seen? It's like a Christmas horror story. It's like a B horror film, and it's an anthology of 3 different stories. But like, if you haven't seen it, I think it's on Shudder, and I need you to watch it because it is one of the most brilliant holiday horror films I've ever seen, and I love it so much. And Krampus is in it. So.
I absolutely adore Krampus. I find him to be majestic, and I actually found the most adorable artwork of a baby Krampus that looks so cute, and he's got like the chubbiest little cheeks, his little tongue is like and so evil looking, but so cute. And I'm like,
Can you find that again? Can you send that to me? Because I really want to see that.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm all over that. I will find that for you because it was the cutest thing ever. I'm like, oh my god, I want a little evil baby Krampus. I have room downstairs for him. I'll make him spice cake.
All this stuff. I mean, I'm looking. Excuse me. I'm looking at the sweatshirts, the hoodies. I'm like,
and they're
oh
so
my god,
soft.
I am gonna be so.
They feel those hoodies on the inside of them and the sweatshirts. The inside feels like a cozy blanket. They are so cozy.
I
love them.
I love a good hoodie. Like I'm just like just something about to just nice and snuggly warm.
They are, and we use a DTG printing, which is direct to garment printing. So what that means is it feels just like when you put your hand over the ink, it feels just like the fabric. It doesn't feel like it's not like it's not screen printed. It's DTG, and so it feels really good, and it lasts a long time. So they're really great products. I'm so proud of the work that we've done, and I love it so much. And I genuinely love our artwork. So
I find like I don't know what it is about tarot style artwork. It's just there's something very beautiful about it.
It resonates with people even before you understand what you're looking at.
Yes, and I feel like
hidden meaning.
Yes, I love, and that to me, that's my favorite art is when art has hidden meaning, or the more you look at something, the more you find. You know, you can glance at something and be drawn in it, but then the more you look into it, the more you say, oh, I didn't notice that. I like that aspect of it. Or, oh, there's like, if you look, there's a, there's a cat or there's something there that you didn't notice before. Wait, what is that with the sleigh?
The lit.
What is that cat?
That's in Black Magic, and it's got there's just a black cat with a pentagram on its or pentacle on its head, and the moon behind it with the
nice. I love the yes. I love the planchet. I'm actually I'm getting someone is making me earrings that are planchets with cats and coffee because they're my two favorite things. Because I said I wanted to get tattoos of planchets, one with with coffee cups and then the other with like something baking related because I'm once upon a time in a faraway land I got paid to bake stuff. So
nice.
Wait, what did that say about Hecate, Freya?
Hecate and Freya and Isis and Morgan. That was one of our earliest ones. Yeah.
I love those. Ah, they're so pretty.
I know, and I saw one with a cat earlier, and I love cats.
Oh yeah, we have
Yes.
so the Yes I Can Drive a Stick is actually based on my cat Rue, and so is if you go to the spooky hoodies, there's Paranormal Captivity, which is
Oh
one
my
of my
god, that's the one I loved.
Yeah, go to Spooky. The
Shut the
Spooky hoodies
front
are spooky.
door.
Yeah,
That's right.
that was I still remember whenever I
Yes.
came up with that idea. I was like I was at the coffee shop with my partner working, and I was like, Paranormal Captivity.
Look at
Yeah,
that. I
that one's
saw
great.
I
was
love
like,
it.
I want
I
that.
love it.
And now there's of course a million versions of it, but we were the OG as far as I can remember, because I didn't get that idea from anything else. So,
But it's perfect. It's perfect.
and then
Like,
just
there's- yeah.
hanging that, we have that, and then we have a cute little I love like cute puns, and so I came up with another one at another coffee shop that was the web developer, and it's like a cute little jumping spider that has glasses on and is working on a computer. Yeah, that's it.
Oh, that's Adrian right there.
Web developer. Yeah, right.
Right?
Yeah,
And
that's
he's got all the webs around him. He's so cute.
That is
And also,
He reminds me of Lucas the Spider.
Yes. Oh my God, I love Lucas, and he did influence that a little bit. But like, if you look on his laptop, instead of an apple, it's got a bug, and the bug has a little bite taken out of it.
Stop.
So yeah, there's lots of little details.
See, and that's what I'm saying.
He's got like the
those-
tape
those-
between the.
Oh my
the
god.
little details that are just so cute and perfect.
I love shirts like this. This is stuff that really
Me too.
that I love, because taking a play with words, and like this one
Mhm.
featured the sheets.
Like sheets, right?
And you know, once you pull that sheets, all I'm thinking about is Dr. Frankenfoot. You see that in
Yes.
my mind.
Love it.
That's what I
Come on up
see.
to the lab and see what's on the
Oh,
slab.
I love Rocky Horror.
Oh my god, like all this stuff, like even the paraformal acting, like
Thank you. That was another one of mine.
you are my
Yeah,
boo. Oh my
it's just
god.
silly. It's just
Oh,
silly. It
you're
needs to be
my
a little
boo.
silly.
I love
Yeah, that's-
that. So I cosplay Booette, and so everybody calls me. They're like, "Oh, it's my
Aw.
boo." So I'm like,
Adorable. I'll be like, thanks, boo, and then send a little ghost emoji.
"Yes,
Oh my god, that's awesome.
you are my boo." I love it. That's
So-
adorable.
We're gonna wrap it up here, but where can
Yeah.
your fans follow you? Where
Yes.
can they find you? One more time. Let me
Sure.
change-
So
All the
to
links.
follow me. Oh gosh. Okay. Well, really, it's right now. It's probably easier to just go to TikTok at _ghoulish_gal, and there's my link tree on there, so you can get all of the info. Like you can go to my resume website. You can check out what I'm doing there. You can see our shop is the first link on Etsy, or the first link on my link tree is the Etsy shop. There's, if you have inquiries, you can email me at theghoulisgal@gmail.com, or if you want to have, if you have a business inquiry about the business, support at theghoulisgarb.com. And on Etsy, you can also find me there because I run all of our accounts. So you can email me there too. But Etsy is just etsy.com/shop/theGhoulishGarb, all one word. And then we're also on Instagram, _ghoulish_garb. And on Instagram, my personal Instagram is _ghoulish_gal. I'm trying to fix that, but somebody else already had it. So
That jerk. How
No.
dare they?
I messaged her and I haven't looked to see if she's messaged me back, because I was like, hey, this is weird. I don't know if I should be asking, but could we switch? Underscores?
It
I'm
would just
trying to
make
brand
things a
a
lot
little
easier
bit
for
right
me,
now.
please.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So we definitely think you should come back.
Oh, I'd love to. You guys are wonderful.
Oh, yes.
When you start-
We
You
have a
should-
friendship. Friend me,
I'm
it's
just
fine.
saying, if you really come for a Saturday show,
Sure, I'd love to.
Yes,
that's when
you
things
should.
that's when things get a little crazy.
Have some drinks. Yeah,
about
Saturday. We
Saturday
actually,
shows get a little wild.
I like
actually, I think the Saturday before Halloween, we're gonna do probably like a spooky type themed Halloween show.
Oh, fun. That'll
I
be
don't-
great.
I got some stuff running in my head about where we're
Yes.
gonna go with there, but we'll catch you then. But thank you for joining us. Thank you for
Yes.
responding. Oh my God, you were so awesome. We want you back. We want
Yes,
you and
we
your
guys are
love
band
wonderful.
back.
I've had
I'm
such a
so
good time.
excited.
I want
Yes.
to be just friends with y'all. So
Yes. And,
Yes. I was
we'll
sitting there,
definitely
it's like,
connect.
I made a new friend.
Yes. So thank you.
I was so upset because I overslept on my nap because I'm sick, but I'm like, no. They're like, no, if you're not feeling it. And they're like, no, I will be there. You don't understand.
All right. So from all of us to all of you,
Yeah.
drink up.
Cheers.
I'm following your lead, I'm following the feeling. I'm conquering the spirit, I'm busting through the ceiling. I'm following your lead, I'm following the feeling. I'm conquering the spirit, I'm busting through the ceiling. I'm following your lead, I'm following the feeling. I'm conquering the spirit, I'm busting through the ceiling. I'm following your lead, I'm following the feeling. Conquering the spirit, I'm busting through the ceiling. Busting through the ceiling. I'm following your lead, I'm following the feeling. I'm conquering the spirit, I'm busting through the ceiling. I'm following your lead, I'm following the feeling. Conquering the spirit, I'm busting through the ceiling. I'm following your lead, I'm following the feeling. Conquering the spirit, I'm busting through the ceiling. Following your lead, I'm following the feeling. Conquering the spirit, I'm 1, 2, 3, go! I'm following your lead, I'm following the feeling. I'm conquering the spirit, I'm busting through the ceiling.
Shake that booty, girl. Shake that booty, girl. Shake that booty, girl.